to the agriculturalist, to the industrialist, and now to the techies. You would agree with me that the only constant phenomenon is not just change, but rapid change. And the evolutionary scientist Charles Darwin intelligently remarked that it is not the most intelligent species, neither is it the strongest species who survive, but the most adaptable to change are the ones who survive. And that is why today at the West African Young Leaders Conference, we are going to be learning skills that would help us understand not only how to adapt to change, but also how to shape, influence, and create the change that we envision. Because the future belongs to those of us who can create it. So ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again, and welcome to the West African Young Leaders Conference. Before we go into today's session, this conference began yesterday, and it was a virtual session yesterday. And today I can promise you an experiential, transformational, and deeply empowering session. Because we're not just going to be learning from different types of people, basically, from business leaders to creatives to tech startup founders, and it's just going to be full. And afterwards, you're going to understand exactly what you need to thrive in the next decade. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome. My name is Zainab Aderomu. I am an award-winning public speaker and compere, and I'm elated to be your host today. Now, before we go into the session again, I really want to, because I'm really, really excited about those of us who are here, and I feel like it is because you really place premium on your learning and development, and that's why you decided to be here today. So please, very quickly, turn to the person beside you, smile at them, and say to them, "Future Shaper, it's a pleasure to meet you." I can't see the smiles yet. Yeah, if you want to do a handshake, you can do the handshake. If you want to do a hug, well, a hug might be too much because we just met. But then you can just smile at them and make them feel welcome. So turn to them and say, "Future Shaper, it's a pleasure to meet you." Yeah, I can see the smile. I can see the smile, and that is really, really amazing. So, one of the reasons why we're here today is so that we can connect and network, not just to learn. So, just as you are smiling at the person beside you, it's really important that you get to know their name. So I would allow us about 2 minutes to do that. So get to know their name, where they came from, and why they're here. So let the conversations roll. What's your name? Why are you here? And where did you come from? Don't be shy, ladies and gentlemen. I can see the gentlemen on this side. You're not even trying. You don't want to meet anybody. Yes, that's the spirit. There should be conversations. We should be able to leave this place with at least one connection, with at least one person whom we met here, and we can collaborate with them later on. The interesting thing about this exercise is that at first we were reluctant to start speaking, but now I would have to pry you off each other and say, "Don't worry, you just collect their number and you continue the conversation afterwards." All right, so ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for yourselves for being here today. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for yourselves for being here today. Thank you. This conference is tagged Sprint, Building and Equipping for the Next Decade. So it means that today, different leaders from different industries would tell us what the next decade will look like and what exactly we need, the skills we need to begin to build now in order not just to survive, but to be the leaders in the next decade. And that's why we're here today. So ladies and gentlemen, please once again a round of applause for yourselves. Thank you. I can see the exchange of phone numbers already. I love to see it. Yes, that's the spirit. Okay, so to deliver the keynote session, I would like to welcome on stage the visionary man behind this transformational experience. He's a man of great wisdom and passion for African development, and he's currently revolutionizing the hospitality industry with a tech solution. He's a leader and a mentor. Ladies and gentlemen, with a rousing applause, please welcome on stage Young Ukpong. Thank you. Please let's keep clapping until he gets here. We're really a warm audience, and we need to make him feel welcome. Thank you so much, and welcome, Mr. Young.
Good morning, everyone. Are you happy to be here? I'm so excited to see every one of you. I'm so happy to see everyone. So I want to thank our speakers, IZ and Leila. I appreciate you for your time. It's quite unfortunate that we didn't start in time, but thank you so much. I appreciate the audience. I appreciate the volunteers, all our teams that work with us. Thank you for giving me the privilege. Without you, there would have been nowhere else. Thank you so much. My name is Ofonime Young. I'm from Akwa Ibom State. People generally call me Young because that's my surname. And when I came to Lagos, people didn't know the interpretation of Ofonime, so they decided to mention Young because that is an English name. All right. So I grew up in Lagos. I came to Lagos when I was 9 years old. And I stayed with my auntie because at the time, that was the only option that I could ever have. My mother and my father has no money to send me to school. So the only thing that I could ever have at that time is for my mom to send me to Lagos to come and stay with my auntie. All right, so my hospitality journey started when I came to stay with my auntie. I started working as a steward. I was washing pots. So I have to wash pots before I go to school. That was what brought me into hospitality. I didn't plan to do it. So my auntie owned a local and the Mafia Manager. These are the two major books that I read in 2005 that changed my life. Now, can you imagine staying with 7 people in a single room? You have to wash your plates. You have to clean the floor before you go to school. Sometimes, I will go to school without eating, and my friends will be the one to cater for me. I stayed with my auntie for good 9 years. That's where I went to school, started my higher institution, and all. I want to state it clearly that for the past 20 years, I have never received 5 naira, even a kobo from my parents. Everything that I could ever done, it was through relationship. And I want to speak about relationship and identity because you all seated here, what will change your life in the next 10 years is relationship. Where you will be in the next 10 years is relationship. What did I do differently? I did nothing. I was just asking for help. The help that I could ever ask is who can help me? Who can buy a book for me? Who can take me to events? So I got support from my friends. When in school, I remember this friend, Adolf Idorehen. He was one of the person that started with me. And he was one of the person that he has to move from Patricia to work with me with Bridge Other Hub. Currently is in Canada at the moment. But if Adolf Idoroyen can hear me loud and clear, I want to say thank you, wherever you are watching from. Adolf Idoroyen was the only person that took 25 liter and followed me to wash car. Without washing that car, I wouldn't have got my money for GCE. He had 27,000 naira with me, and he asked me around 11 p.m. Because at that time, we used to have late night bus. You know, it's not now that if you want to enter bus, you're like, I'm afraid, I don't want people to get. That was the only option. So the only thing that I could ever need is to wash bus, all those luxury bus. He was the person that took 25 liter and encouraged me and said that there is hope for me. I've already took my back in 2009 in order to go back to my state. And Adolf drove, he backed me up. He said that, Young, you are not going nowhere. I'm going to work with you. Adolf Idoroye is not the most better person, but he was the person that I need at that time. And I want to say to you, in any area of your life, there are people that you need at any point in time. And that person could be person close to you. Please, I want you to put your hands together for yourself right now. I think about starting warehousing in 2016 when I was in hostel with my friend. I had $1,500. And I asked if I should start warehousing, because I actually started because I knew that a lot of young people do not have the opportunity that I had. The opportunity that I had was relationship. I saw people that helped me when I had no money, when I did not stay with my parents. And I want to state that for the good 20 years, I haven't stayed with my parents for 24 hours. Anytime I travel back, it's either I'm going for a meeting, there's other things that I want to go. But I was able to survive. If you can listen to me clearly, I'm speaking to few people here. You are saying to yourself that you have no money for school, you have nobody to support you in your business, or you want to organize events like this, you have no support. And I want to say that there is support if you can get started. 2016 was when I have intention to start, and I had no money. And my friend was saying, how can you build this when you have not even supported yourself? That actually took me 2 years. I actually wanted to start it again in 2018 when I lost my brother. I lost my brother in 2018. So where else is supposed to be started in 2018, November, but we canceled it till 2019. I had a single mission. The mission was to build the young people that would nominate the world. And the young people are here. I am glad that I'm building the world with everyone right now. I am certain that in the next 10 years, I remember one of the things that Okwebanwo told me in 2013. He said, one of the things that you can ever do to yourself is to build relationship. Starting from 2013 till now, that is like 10 years. That relationship have really helped me. So I want to say to you that the single mission of the Where LC was to build global leaders. Global leaders in business, in entrepreneurship, in career professionals, in creatives. Whichever industry that you belong to, I want you to know that you are all global leaders. Just understand that. It's my pleasure. I am happy to be here. I want to welcome you to Warehousey 2023. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Young. Please, another round of applause for him. That was an inspirational story. And then the first thing it reminded me of was that no matter where you are, even if it's like the littlest place, you can create impact with what you have around you, with the resources that you have around you. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, So I would like to acknowledge our online audience. We have a number of people who are joining us virtually as well. So please, ladies and gentlemen who are online, let us know where you're joining us from. If it's Nigeria or outside or even outside the continent, tell us where you're joining us from so that we can acknowledge you as well. Very quickly as well, ladies and gentlemen, we are online. That's on social media. So please follow us on Instagram at WAYLC underscore leaders. WAYLC underscore leaders. And of course, just search West African Young Leaders on LinkedIn. And you'll also find us on LinkedIn. So please, if you're creating content, don't forget to tag us so that the world can know what exactly is going on in this room at Maryland, Lagos. Okay, so by a show of hands, how many of us here are tech startup founders or even business owners at all? Any business, any business owner here? Entrepreneurs in the house? No entrepreneur. Okay, so we have a few entrepreneurs. So those of you who are entrepreneurs, do you want to operate on a global scale, or are you fine with where you are? Or, well, I'm sure a number of us are already operating on a global scale. But if you aren't yet, do you want to operate on a global scale? Yeah? I want to operate on a global scale. Raise your hand. Okay. And that is why, don't worry, we have prepared for you somebody who is able and apt to do justice to that topic and teach you exactly how to globalize your business. So over the next 30 minutes, our first speaker would be teaching us the ABC of how to build and scale your startup into a global business. This woman is a sales and marketing juggernaut with over 13 years of experience, and she has won several awards like the Marketing Edge Top 10 Digital Marketing Professionals of the Year. She is the co-founder and CEO of Zeddy, a growth marketing company for tech startups, and the convener of the largest community of digital marketers in Africa, DigiClan. Ladies and gentlemen, with a rousing applause, please welcome on stage Kingmaker IZ Uwankehi. Please let's make that louder. Let's make that louder. She's going to be teaching us how to globalize our businesses. Thank you so much and welcome, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Hi, good morning. So this was supposed to be me talking for like 15 minutes, and then afterwards there'll be a panel session. But the event was supposed to start at 10, and I have a flight to catch by 12:30. I have to travel by 12:30 anyway. So I literally have only 15 minutes to be on stage, so we'll just go straight to the panel session, and I would answer any questions that anyone else has. Yeah. Is this okay? Okay. Why are you sitting so far away? I just want to say thank you so much, Young, for that inspiring story. I've learned over the course of my life's work or my life that you can get inspired at any time from anybody and from anywhere, and inspiration does not stop when you grow in business. Inspiration is constant, and it's great to learn that people can still overcome whatever challenges that they are going through or whatever challenges that they did go through. And I am inspired by your story, Young. Um, and I also just found out your actual name today. So thank you so much for that conversation. You have questions for me?
So good morning, everyone. My name is Omowawe Ibrahim Ayomide, and is it Miss or Mrs.? Okay, so like Mrs. Hyzed once said, this is supposed to be a speaking session, then a Q and A session afterwards. But because she has a very, very tight schedule today, so we just decided to move it straight to the panel session. So, Ms. Hyzed, you're looking beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so my first question. Okay, ma'am, so this is how we're going to do it. Since you have just 15 minutes to
Yeah.
spare for us, so we'll do 10 minutes between us, then we'll take 5 minutes from the audiences.
Okay,
How's
that's
that?
fine.
All right, ma'am. So my first question for you. Your profile is quite astonishing, to be honest. Like, see, all of you, you don't know who is seated there. Oh. Can you believe that this woman, she's a social producer at CNN?
I was a producer, social producer.
Was, ma'am, that's a
Okay.
huge title, to be
Yeah.
honest, because CNN is a global scale. So, ma'am, my first question for you is expanding into the new markets is a view and challenging hurdle for startup owners. So, ma'am, do you have any two piece or a penny for startup owners that want to expand into the new market?
Okay, that's actually a very important question because as of January 2024, Zeta is expanding into the UK, and so it is. I'm going to tell you what my plan is, and what I've learned over time, even just expanding to Lagos or when we tried to expand into Egypt. So we had a bit of expanding into Egypt before we had some government type issues, and so we're going to replicate that in the UK. And one of the key things I've found as a startup founder is, I think Young actually covered it. A lot of startup founders get into a place and they do not network or they do not build a community around their services or their business, and that hinders them from growing or that hinders them from being able to expand. So what we are doing in advance, so we're going to the UK on the in January 2024, and what we have done in advance is we've signed up for tech. So it looks simple, all right? I'll tell you some of the non-paid strategies that you can use and how you can then scale that. So first of all, we signed up for non-paid events, tech events that are happening in the city that we're expanding to, which is Birmingham. So we went for all the non-paid tech events, free tech events rather. And then when we got there, we went for the tech events that have founders, other startup founders. When we got there, we're already talking with startup founders. We're exchanging number. We're connecting. We're telling them what business we do. They're already giving us their own cards. They're already recommending us to their friends. When we after the event, we will send them emails and say, "Oh, do you remember we spoke at this event, we talked about this," and then say, "Oh yes, I met you," and then we ask for a recommendation. That's a strategy that there's no that you don't spend money at, but it's very important when you're expanding to a new market. You have to expand your network. You have to build more network. So that's a really important strategy that I think people should start with if they're looking at non-paid strategies. There's also the being a thought leader in that industry, being able to share your thought leadership agenda or your content. So what we also did was then we started looking at events where we can speak at. So we applied for events that have other tech startups or other tech founders that are going to attend, and we applied to speak. We gave what we wanted to speak at, and then they said, "Come and speak at this event." So in speaking, you're already building your awareness. People already know about your brand. People know who you are and what you can do. So you're already expanding on your awareness plan. Some of them asked us to sponsor the event to be able to speak. And so that's where there's a bit of cash that went out. Some of them will say, we will also put your ads out if you sponsor the event. We'll give you a speaking position. So you utilize that strategy. So in trying to expand into a new market, you want to build your network, whether it's a paid strategy or an unpaid strategy. Thank you.
Hi, ma'am. That's so. In one word, what you're trying to tell the audience and those watching us is, we have the paid, unpaid strategy for diving into the new market.
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am. So, on to my next question. Cultural sensitivity is a huge step that most startup owners find as hurdles. you
In
know.
what regards? When you say
Yeah.
cultural sensitivity, in what regards?
Okay, so cultural sensitivity in the sense that how do they oh, okay, I would like okay, how will startup owners delve into the new markets,
In a place
in,
where they are not
into the
from.
local markets
Okay.
where they have no, how will I say it, where they have no knowledge about what the market's unique needs are.
So that's where pre-researching your market comes from. You know what your services are. You know what you have to offer. You pre-research your market. You know what are the pain points of this my target audience that I'm expanding into their local markets. What are the pain points? What do they need? How do they need what they need? So for us, we serve startup businesses. We do marketing and growth for startup businesses. So what we did in advance was research what kind of pain points, the people that are there that are already providing this service, what are they doing well that we can replicate? What are they doing badly that we can do better? And what are the opportunities that exist that people are not taking advantage of? So you pre-research your market so that you'll be able to understand better. And then it's also important to hire somebody from that local region that helps you understand, oh, these things you can say, these things you can't do, these things you can do, so that the ease of being able to blend well into that local region is so that it's better for you and easier for you.
All right, ma'am. So my next question is, okay, this one deals with tech startup owners, basically. You know, in tech startup, there is this issue of, I have an idea. Okay, you are my friend. Come over. Let's join hand and implement on the idea. Then we'll struggle and hustle and bustle to make the startup a huge success. Then maybe on the line or during the line of the startup getting somewhere, becoming something great, maybe the other friend just hijacked the idea. So, do you have any advice for tech startup owners to guide them against someone else hijacking their ideas?
Okay, so what I always say is it's never really about the idea, it's about the execution. If you are the idea owner, you already have like an execution strategy in your hand. It's never really ideas are a dime a dozen. If I call one idea now, you see that there are 4 or 5 people in the audience who already have the same idea. It's not so much about the idea, but how you execute the idea. Somebody hijacking your idea is as good as let's say you are an architect and somebody is a carpenter and somebody hijacks your architectural ideas. It's never going to be as good as you will execute it. So first things first, it's always about the execution. It's not really about the idea. So I'm never really afraid of people hijacking my ideas because how I will execute will be different. But secondly, if you're going to call somebody into your business to come and partner with you and you're going to share enough information, even information about your execution, you want to ensure that you are covered legally. Before it's not about my friend. My co-founder is like one of my closest friend. In fact, because if I see her more than the person I would say is my best friend. I think that my co-founder is like my best friend. But we have agreements from the beginning. We signed agreements together. It doesn't matter that she's my best friend. We signed agreements together that protects her. If you leave the business before so date, you do not own so thing. This is not. So we have details of every issue that can arise, and we put it in an agreement such that if there's any issue, everybody's covered. So you can't go into sharing with your friend or starting with your friend if you don't have a legal agreement to cover you. I think first things first is to know that it's never really about the idea, it's about the execution. And then the second thing is to understand that it's important to have an agreement. Get a lawyer, get an agreement. In fact, there are free agreements online that you can download and edit and then give to your co-founder or your partner to sign.
All right, so guys, to tech startup owners and startup owners in general, please and please give out a contract when you're planning on bringing someone aboard your ideas. So as to avoid the issue of now me get the idea, it's if I'm new. So just give out a contract, and that's basically about it. So we'll be taking questions from the audiences. Anyone with any question?
Yes, please. Is it raised up?
Yeah, we have someone.
Thank you very much for that session. Okay, so I have two questions. The first one is I'm asking this on behalf of a friend who is also a startup founder. The kind of product he's building, when the product isn't really for Nigerians, and he's afraid that if he starts here on day one, he has already started, product is live. But in marketing, you want to start here. But he's afraid that if he starts here, he won't go far, and he wants to start day one in the global market. And coming to maybe, like you said, hiring somebody from the other side, there's also the part where funds are not in yet, and you want to pay somebody in dollars when you've not even paid those that are working for you here in Nigeria. But aside that, looking at the fact of funding, so my question is like in a lot, but it's still on, building global from day one. African founders investors rather, want to fund African ideas. White guys wants to fund African ideas that just for Africans. But it's looking at, building a global product, but also getting funding from the white investors. How does it navigate this? Because there's like a gap. I don't know if you get the question.
Yes, I do. I get the question, but I don't know that it is factual to say that white guys want to fund African ideas that are for Africa.
It's more on
Yeah.
research and data. That is not exactly.
No, no. So they might want to fund an idea that starts from Africa, but they're always looking for scale. They don't want you to start from Africa and stay in Africa. Look at Paystack, Stripe, Flutterwave. People who funded the idea in the beginning did not fund that thinking that they were going to just be in Africa or be in Nigeria. They thought they were building for a global market. Whilst they're starting from Nigeria, they were building for a global market. So that is not an answer to your question. I'm just saying that there are other ways to pay people that work for you internationally. You can pay with equity. So there's also something I see with startup founders now. They hold on too tight to equity. So, for example, somebody will come to us and say, IZ, we have this idea, we think it can grow big, we want marketing, but we cannot pay you. And I look at the idea and I think it can grow big. And I'm like, okay, it looks viable. I think that we can actually help you get, your first 1,000 users or your first 500 users. From there, you can go and raise funds and scale. But you can't afford to pay us. What equity are you giving to us? No, I don't want to give out equity for my business. Or when they make you an offer, they make you an offer that is actually ridiculous. So you are spending so much money marketing for them for a ridiculous equity for a business that may or may not be viable in the global market, right? Even if you think it's a good idea, it may not be viable in the global market. So there are ways to get people to work for you or with you internationally by offering them equity. So whilst he may not have dollars to pay an international co-founder or an international person, he does have equity. And if he sells the business well in a pitch deck that makes it look like, okay, this looks viable. I'm in the UK, for example, or I'm in the US, and I think that I want to sell what your friend has, then I'm saying, okay, since I'm a co-founder, by having some shares, I will push into the global market. And then there's also the option of partnership. Everything you get in the UK or in the US, you have a certain percentage off, right? The day you stop marketing is no longer your own or whatever, but there are ways to draw partnership agreements that allows him partner with people internationally. And with growth, whether it's in Nigeria or across Africa, with growth, you have a much more, once you can show traction, it's easy for you to get investors. If you take an idea to an investor, whilst you can see people that will fund it, but you might not see people that will, you might not see a lot of people that will fund the idea. So he can start first with Nigeria and show that this is the traction we've built. We're building for the international market, but we are able to service 100 people here in Nigeria or 100 people here across Africa. But what we really want to do is scale globally. And now we are looking for investors that will help us scale globally. And then it's easier to get investors. As opposed to saying, oh, I don't want to build for Nigeria at all, but investors want to invest in Nigeria. Maybe investors are actually just looking for you to show traction in your local market, and then they'll be able to fund you to expand. Thank you very much.
Can anyone? Okay. So my second question, going businesses. I know that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So my second question is for me, and I'm sure maybe anyone who is also like building a business. I know for a fact that you want to keep your burn rate low when you're starting, right? But something I struggle with, and also knowing that right now so many people have so many side hustles. So somebody might be working for you, and your job is not the only thing they are doing for you. And I understand that if I was to pay this person for 8 hours of their time daily, I can't afford that right now. How do I get these people to still give me, you know, good work, even though I'm not paying them as much as they should be earning? Now, not paying them as much as they should be earning is not like they are underpaid. But if I was to say for 8 hours in typical, but again, looking at the size of the business, I think they are being paid well. But also looking that they could be working somewhere else and be earning more. How do you used to get the best from such people?
So, for a company like yours, what I would suggest is start first by working with beginners who are good or interns who are good, people who have very good knowledge of it but do not have not had a chance to get work experience, so they are willing to go for a lower amount. That's first things first. Secondly, even with big companies that are paying millions of naira, people still look for other jobs. Money is never really enough, especially with the way things are in Nigeria. So what you want to do is put yourself in the position of a product manager. I'm building from A to B. And to build from A to B, here are 21 things that we need to do. Finish this one by week 1. Finish this by week 2. Then don't police their time. I have tech staff who are, some of them I've never seen actually. Some of them are working in other states. They work with a product manager who says, finish this by between Monday to Friday. If you finish all on Monday, good. If you finish all on Tuesday, good. But this is what you are supposed to finish Monday to Friday. And then we will then move on to the next thing on Tuesday. So that allows you time to go and do other things. If you now see that they finished it on Tuesday, you now give them additional work on Wednesday because, or what are you doing on Wednesday? You are policing their time. Chances are they will start to think that you are micromanaging them. I don't know, there's a set of Gen Z and millennials now that do not like to be micromanaged. So there's also that quiet quitting where they will leave the work for you to do. Maybe you want to police your time. So you're policing their time. You are policing their efforts. You are, undermining them in whatever regards they think that you are. So what you do is have a plan. This thing has to be ready by March. Between now and March, these are the list of 25 things that we need to do. Week 1, do this. Week 2, do this. As long as at the end of the week, that 2 things are ready, then they've done your work. Don't think that, so typically some of them will do Monday, Tuesday for me, and then you now see that they're not working Wednesday to Friday, and you now say, just start with the other one. That's not really your business per se, because you told them to finish A to B by week 1. If they've done it, they've done your work. Week 2, let them move to other tasks that you've given to them. That way, they tend to stay longer with you because they know that as long as they do your work within the time range that you've given to them, they can go and do other things. It's never really enough. Even me, that I'm the CEO of my business, if I see side gig now, I will do. Not to talk of people that are working for me and I'm telling them that you are earning 300K and somebody brings another job that you don't have to resign, remote job of 150. The funny thing is, if I see remote jobs, I send it to my Slack channel for other people in my team to do. And I always say, as long as it does not affect what you're supposed to do this week, you guys try to go for this. I personally have given side gigs and remote jobs to people that currently work for me and work in ZI, because I know that it doesn't matter that they're earning, even if they're earning better than their counterparts, it's never really going to be enough, right? As long as they can manage their time and they can earn better, what's my business?
So we have someone over there.
Oh shit! I have to go. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. So I have a couple of questions.
I can
Excuse
only
me.
take one question.
Sorry,
actually.
she can only take one question. She's on a tight time.
Okay. So then I'll go to. So my question actually is about marketing. So, like, marketing kind of has like kind of playbook. They are just basic few things you do, and when you do it, you have kind of done everything. So, and there's also the rise of ChatGPT today. So there is no more that touch of creativity in marketing, even from advertising to everything. When I heard about ZI went to your social media handles, and I really saw the creative work you guys do, the way you engage on social media and all of that. So I just want to really bring it out as a question that how can we bring in creativity like back into marketing? And how can we start doing different things that would really help us get those results we want?
I didn't even know that creativity left marketing, Sha, but now that you pointed it out, I will go and check, and then I will call the creativity to come back to my. So the thing is, everybody knows, everybody, even the people that are doing ChatGPT, everybody knows that the best kind of marketing always needs a human touch. Marketing is a human touch service. You can't. You can automate your marketing, but it's never really as good as the one that has a human touch. ChatGPT has helped to reduce the amount of workload that you would do. So typically for a content writer to create a month's worth of content can take maybe 5 days, 6 days. With ChatGPT, it takes maybe 24 hours, 48 hours. So yes, having AI has helped automate a lot of the processes and has reduced workload. But even with the content that is created, you still need a human touch that will go and tweak it and edit it. Here's the thing, right? A lot of information go out online. There are 8 million bits of information that everybody sees on a daily basis. The brain has learned to shut off information that is not relevant to them. The information people engage with are information that looks interesting to them, or reaches to them, connects with them. So your job as a marketer, even with ChatGPT and AI, is to constantly look for ways to connect with your target audience. It can be as silly as a dance, or it can be as silly as adding some comment to a post or something. But if it doesn't connect, if you are doing the same ChatGPT type of content and you are creating the same content, I think the first statement you said, where you said marketing has a playbook, I already know that you might not be a marketer, because if you are in marketing, you know that playbooks do not work. Because with marketing, there's always, if you do one size fits all for all clients, you are not selling. If you say, because when I did his own, I did it like this, so when I'm doing your own marketing, I'll do it. Target audiences are different. Even if you have a sibling in the same house, you people grow up together, you tend to like different things. So if you have different target audiences, you are targeting them with different types of campaigns or different types of content. And so it's never really about the playbook. The playbook will tell you this is what to do. But in terms of delivery and execution, you are constantly changing it. So I don't know that your question is a question as much as it is an accusation that marketing does not have creativity in it, but it still does, except you're not doing marketing right. There's always been creativity in marketing, and for those that are not being creative, the goal is to constantly look for ways to excite their target audience, to connect with their target audience, so that they can continue to grow and scale their business. So the reason why on ZI we are no longer, for example, we are no longer creating content per se that targets the target audience is we have a lot of target audience. We have a lot of clients that we are working for and working with right now. So what we have done is we can't keep creating content that says come and work with ZI. So we told everybody in the office, everybody gets to handle the social media for a day. And guess what? You can do anything you want to do on the social media, as long as you're not nude, or you're not drinking alcohol, or as long as it's not illegal. So you see some of our staff putting content of when they were in the gym. You see some of our staff putting content of when they were playing football. Somebody's cooking. I saw one, he was shirtless. He was talking about what he does in a day, that he sleeps. Ask somebody that I pay to work, and they said create content for a day, and you say you sleep half of the day. But the thing is, that's one of our best employees, because if he sleeps morning to 12 o'clock or morning to 2 o'clock, he wakes up at 2, he does the work that we need him to do, then he's being effective. It's just, we have to manage the timing. So it's about utilizing what you have and knowing your target audience, understanding your target audience enough to be creative to reach your target audience. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for the engaging session. So, ma'am, before I release you, because right now we have to, because I can see the time, and you are actually checking the time yourself on your phone. So, ma'am, before I release you, just a word or two for startup owners. Something that, as Yoba likes to say, something that they will keep in their left hand are not hit with it. So just something that's a watchword, yeah, a watchword actually for startup owners.
So what I'm going to do is I had this entire presentation plan on how you can grow your business to a global scale. I hope if I send it to Young, it gets to everybody who has signed up for the event via their email, because I think that is also helpful. It has 10 tips on what you can do to grow your business, especially when you have little funds. But I wanted to say, especially to startup founders that are trying to build business with very little funds, is utilize what you have. Always, and one of the biggest things that you can have is your network. Sometimes it's as much as I've seen campaigns that have grown global or very big just by telling all my friends to put it on their status. That please, oh, I can't afford this, oh, but please, can you help me put this design post on your status? Everybody puts it on your WhatsApp status, and 50 people put it on their WhatsApp status. And the amount of people that sign up from it or to send it as a broadcast to their friends. Always understand the power of your network and utilize it in such a, not that every day you are sending them something to go and post and you are not helping out. Utilize the power of your network in driving growth. That's one thing that people have but they don't realize that they have. Network. So utilize the power of your network. Always understand the power of your network. Events like this are critical. When you come for events like this, don't go home without meeting 3 or 4 new people. Engage, network, take photos, share their number, follow them on social media, let them follow you back. You've made friends, and that's how you continue to expand. That's how you continue to grow. Network is really important. And then collaboration over competition. Now, before you see a lot of people are competing, I don't want to share my information with you. Collaboration is a new way to compete. Collaborate with your people. Always collaborate. Have ways that, oh, what are you doing? What am I doing? How can we work together to grow both our businesses? Look for the partnership opportunities in every network that you have. So collaborate rather than compete. I think those are the...
So I just have a little request from you.
Okay.
Whilst we were speaking earlier, I heard you made mention that you have an employee that sleeps almost half of the day and you still pay him well for his work.
No, he put that on social media. He just put that today. I plan to sleep.
Okay, man. So maybe how can I sign up to be an employee?
No.
Because to be honest, I love sleeping and I want to be getting paid.
We don't want to. No, but really, that guy does his work and he does his work on time. You see that sleep that he put on social, maybe he had worked overnight till the morning and he had done what he was supposed to do. I'm just saying that it's a lot of fun. It's having a lot of conversation with people just doing things out of the ordinary. Imagine asking everybody in your organization to be the one to create content on social media and they can do anything that they want. And everybody's creating crazy type of content. If you looked at my Twitter yesterday, I actually quoted the tweet. I said this one is using us to market his business. Somebody said that he takes people he's a gym coach and that they can book him. Because we told him to manage our social media for one day, he's using our social media to tell people that he's a gym coach. So it happens, but he did his work that day. And he does his work on time. So you can't blame somebody that's already delivering on time. So if he decides to be a gym coach on the side, that's up to him. So no, we won't pay you for sleeping.
All right, well, so thank you so much for the insightful session. Man, before you leave, I just have one request to make from you. Please, okay, not from you actually. Please, everyone, please bring out your phones and take a picture of me and Isaac, please. And post it on your social media and tag her so that people will know that I know somebody. All right, man, so let's just take pictures. I'm Young, please. Step.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please another round of applause for IZ. That was really interesting. And honestly, if you go to her social media, Her Instagram especially, you will be entertained. I was. So you can check her out on Instagram, on Twitter, and of course on LinkedIn. That's where she's the professional. On Twitter, on Instagram, she's quite playful. Please, another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again. You know, yesterday I watched an interview with Peace Itimi and Joey Kinvey, and Joey remarked that he believes that Africa needs a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean many, the way he described it, many startup founders, many tech startup founders, if we really, really want to develop ourselves. So, for example, we have business leaders. Let's take Dangote, for example. He says we need at least 100 Dangotes per country if we really need to develop our country. So it means that you have a responsibility to contribute to African development, and the onus is now on you. So think about it. We're going to be having our next speaker, and she's going to be talking about strategies for expanding into a new market. So somebody asked about expanding into a new market. This is your teacher, and you need to pay rapt attention to this woman. This woman is a sales and growth leader with over a decade of experience across multiple industries. Interestingly, she cut her teeth in consulting, where she worked as a management consultant for KPMG, implementing business strategies for top financial institutions, including the Central Bank of Nigeria. Lela has a first-class degree, she's a first-class graduate of computer science from the University of Benin, and she is an alumna of Stanford Graduate School of Business. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next 30 minutes thereabout, we're going to be listening to Lela Omo Ikiroda. Please, a round of applause for her as she comes up on stage. Let the applause be louder. I am really interested in listening to her because, I mean, marketing, it can be hard. Thank you so much and welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Zainab. Hi, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to today's session. So, I did a presentation, but since we're not going to be showing it, I'll just kind of like walk through it. So I think, first of all, correction is I'm more of a sales than I am marketing. But I mean, in implementing growth strategies or sales strategies, you see that a lot of times people tend to interchange or make the mistake of assuming that marketing is sales or sales is marketing, right? It's fine here. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. So yes, the topic today is digital growth innovation strategy for expanding into a new market, right? So I would like to start with this, which is what the fundamentals of a business is, because I think that that's where we need to start from. And I remember a very long time ago, when I was a consultant and I learned this thing, it literally changed the way I thought. I mean, it's not a big deal. Everybody knows it, but it's pretty just very easy, right? You're in business for one thing and one thing only, and that thing is your bottom line, right? So people will call it profit, people will call it different things, but that's why you're in business. So if you're in business and you're not making profit, then maybe it's just a passion project, right? So first of all, I want to start with the fact that you're in business to make profit. And the reason or how you actually do get your bottom line is two things. Number one is the revenue bit, and number two is the cost bit. Sorry, I'm taking it back to like old school fundamentals, but I think that it has to start from there. There has to be that before we continue the conversation. So in terms of talking about your revenue or talking about your profit, there are two things you want to do. Number one is you want to think about how you deepen penetration in your current market, right? That current market can be location, it can be customers, it can be products, whatever it is, right? But the idea is you already function in a particular way and you want to deepen, whether you want to call it cross-selling, upselling. There's so many terminologies that we use, but the idea is you have a current market and you're trying to think about how you can make more money from that current customer segment, right? Second thing is expanding into other markets. So you probably have exhausted your Nigerian market or exhausted your Lagos market, right? Again, other markets can differ. It can be location-based, say other countries. It can be within same country but different locations, other states, or it can be other segments within the country. Say, for example, you are creating a fintech product. Initially, that fintech product was for maybe certain thing, wealth creation. So your target audience was HNI. And you decide that you want to create another product that is kind of targeted towards the bottom of the pyramid, right? That's an example. And then the second aspect is your cost, right? So your cost can be capex, opex. Again, let's not bother ourselves with terminologies, but the gist of the matter is that you want to reduce your cost, right? Reduce your cost. Again, that's where the conversation we're having today comes into play. And I really like Ized because like she really just helped lay the foundation for most of what I'll be talking about. So I think I'll just go through a few points that she already kind of elaborated, right? So you want to reduce your cost. Again, innovation, digital technologies, we see that those things help us. And then being able to either reduce your cost and increase your revenue, or reduce your costs, keeping revenue the same, or increasing your revenue whilst keeping your costs the same, right? Helps in increasing your bottom line. So simple math, but I just wanted to reiterate that, first of all, we need to understand that we're in business for profit. Because I see a lot of times where, and I say this because there's a lot of conversation that goes with, oh, you know, passion, let your passion lead you, let your passion lead you. I mean, I'm not saying your passion is not important, but I think a lot of times we have to marry it with, is this a passion or a pet project, or is this a business? Because that actually helps us, because that mentality actually helps us from the beginning in creating structures that help us to scale ultimately in the end, right? It's like that question where people say, would you take a dinner with Jay-Z or 500K? Jay-Z has answered you people, take the money. So yeah, we'll move on. So in terms of strategy and implementation for growth, there are 4 things I highlighted here, right? Before we talk about digital innovation. And those 4 things, I'll just mention them, kind of go over them. The first one is economic analysis, right? Ized had already done some bit of work on this, where she talks. So some people will call it SWOT analysis, pestle analysis. It's left for us to go and to go and do the details. But like the idea is, you need to analyze the locations you're thinking about. So I'm currently in Nigeria, or I'm currently here. This is my product. Do SWOT analysis for your product. Do SWOT analysis for your company. Do SWOT analysis for the new market. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, I literally saw recently SWOT analysis for Nigeria, and I found it very interesting. So SWOT is typically strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You have to do that for your company, for each product, for each service. I don't know if that makes any sense, right? You have to be very clear on your product first, and in the market that you play, do that SWOT analysis. Now, there are different things you can also do, pestle, different names, but my point is, whichever one you want to use, whichever terminology works for you, I think the first things first is understanding where you stand in the grand scheme of things, right? And in the economy that you are currently playing in. Second thing would be a better understanding of territory. Now, you want to go further to understand, and within this understanding of territory, I would like to say that, again, people call it different things. You can say it's TAM, what's your total addressable market. You can call it SAM. You can call it anything you want to call it. I really don't care. But the idea is that when you're done with this exercise, you very well understand the market you play in and understand the different markets you have selected to expand into. So I think maybe I need to backtrack to say, first of all, you need to have highlighted certain markets you want to go into, right? And there are different reasons why you want to do this, right? So I'll give an example. Being that I've been maybe a country manager, or currently I'm working in a startup that I'm responsible for, you know, expansion into new markets, we typically would just think about, to be very honest, the brainstorming session is not very anything out of this world. It's just sitting down to say, hey, next year, where do you want to go to? That's actually how the conversation starts. So it's nothing big, do you understand? Nothing out of the ordinary. But it starts with, where do we want to go to? And so what then happens is there are different things that now help us in terms of streamlining the different countries we highlight. So we could highlight that, oh, we want to explore 10 countries. The question is, why 10? So again, in brainstorming, you find out that there are different techniques. One of the techniques is you're asking yourself 7 whys. If you can answer 7 whys, you get your answer. Another technique is you answer what, why, where, when, who, whatever, right? You answer it. So you have to be able to have a better understanding of the territory, right? And in understanding this, there's one thing I want to highlight, which is called customer acceptance or buyer persona. So I'm going to be not very granular today because I'm not very certain the audience I have in the room. I want to believe that some people are maybe founders, some people are, still working, some people have normal businesses that are not tech businesses, some people are just having side hustles they're thinking. So I'm trying to be as generic as possible so that it kind of applies across different industries. So I think customer acceptance is something I need to say, and I think this kind of plays mostly with people who offer services or people who offer certain kind of products like financial technology products, right? I think it's something that I notice people don't do a lot and it's very important. So what do I mean by that? You should be able to align or be able to say by the end of your brainstorming session, what kind of customers do we want on our platform? I'll give myself as an example. I have 9 to 5, and I have 2 businesses. In my 2 businesses, honestly, there's no customer acceptance because it's products, right? It's just normal products that have inventory, whatever, normal product. So honestly, I don't care, if you're HNI, if you're BNI, if you're WNI, I don't care any NI you are. If you come and tell me, hey, I want this product, and you pay, do you understand? You follow the process, then I'm good. But for certain service offerings, you realize that you need to be very clear on what kind of customers do you want to accept, right? Again, that helps you put some bit of structure, right? And as we go into the next one, which is tailoring your product and marketing, tailoring your product, marketing and service. That helps because at that point, you've been able to kind of like adjust or kind of like be able to streamline the kind of customers you want on your platform, right? For example, if I'm taking a tech platform. And so you need to be able to streamline your product. Isaac also made mention of this. And he was talking about cultural sensitivity. So it then means that there are certain things that you have to think about what kind of culture works here. And culture here doesn't necessarily mean culture as per ethnicity or all of those things. Culture means, also means how exactly do these people operate? How exactly do they accept certain things? How exactly do they engage with certain products, right? Not because it's bad, it's just because that's the way it is. So for example, if I'm creating maybe a taxi service, the way I'll create a taxi service for maybe a New Yorker will be different from the way I'll create a taxi service for maybe someone in Lagos. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So that culture as to how do they behave, what's your buyer persona? Like I said earlier, if you've already kind of like segmented that, then that helps you in terms of tailoring your product and your service and even your marketing. So I'll give an example. Prior to being at Avancely, I was a Lipa Later, and I was country manager for Lipa Later for Nigeria and West Africa. And if you went to the both social media pages, you would see a stark difference in marketing, right? So if you go to the page for Kenya or Rwanda or Nigeria, you see a difference. So Nigeria is very Englishy, very, one kind of posh kind of. Kenya, is Swahili. You will not even see English on the social media page. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. And you know what? That's how you're going to communicate. So they've been able to tailor their content or tailor their marketing to that particular, territory that you're addressing. And then the last one would be, again, these things don't necessarily come. And last one will be leveraging on data to understand growth paths, starting with least resistance, identifying quick wins. I think that this is very important because, again, research. I think people tend to underplay this, right? There's a lot that data can help you with. Maybe because basically I am a data-driven person. So what's your data saying? I don't know, what's the data, what kind of data do you have, and what's that data telling you, right? Because it also helps in terms of the level of investment you put into that country or that location or that new customer segment you want to expand into. What's the data telling you? So I think data is very, 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 very important. Leverage on data. Some data can need to be bought. Some data can be, surveys that you conduct. Some might be focus group sessions. However it is, but I think it's very important that you leverage on data when you're, moving into a new place. And when I talk about starting with least resistance, what I mean is that, like Isaac said, yeah. So there's a time when I still do it, but not as much. Every week, there's like 1 or 2 networking sessions you're going for. Co-founder meetup, founder meetup, tech executive this. I was everywhere, man. And at that time, it made sense. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? But you see that those networks actually helped me form partnerships that could help me move into certain other countries. So I would say identify quick wins in terms of partnerships. I need to bring that up for those who are in tech here. I realize that a lot of times you don't necessarily need to be physically operating in a particular location. Partnership can help you do that. And then it depends on the kind of product or service you're selling. So I think now that we've covered generally the things I think to look out for before you start, I will now go into what digital innovation is. So when we talk about digital or we talk about whatever, digital just means this thing that I'm holding here or this thing that I have here. Right? So mobile technologies, leveraging on the internet or what's it called. And we realized that this digital innovation has actually kind of like disrupted the way people do businesses. So if I remember myself as a teenager, then I wanted to they gave me money for Christmas. I wanted to open a bank account and they were like, oh, I'm too young for it, blah, blah, blah. You had to go to the bank, you had to do all of that. Now that doesn't happen. I don't even know when last time I went to the bank, like maybe for FX transactions and certain kind of things, right? So you see that it has transformed how we do things. Now you listen to music. I remember that time I used to do iPod, Now you can stream music on your phone. You don't have to start downloading certain funny things from mp3download.com, all those funny things. That doesn't happen anymore. You watch the news on your mobile. But guess what? You see how I will still use that newspaper as an example. We moved from physical newspaper to going to maybe the website of the newspaper organization to you just getting your news from Instagram because Instablog posted it, right? So right now, that's the effect of digital transformation or digital innovation. And that's the reason why in one of my businesses, like I spoke about earlier, I actually serve customers in about 15 countries, and I'm able to make revenue of in 9 figures without from one social media platform, from one platform. Like I literally I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary, right? I'm not having one overhead cost. It's not brick and mortar. I'm able to carry out that business in a year in 9 figures just because there is now, mobile technology and I can pretty much just leverage on that. So that's it. And why do we need digital innovation, right? And strategy to be fair, is to make sure that we do have more efficient processes in terms of how we serve our customers, in terms of how we improve the customer service, in terms of how we increase our profitability and viability, and most importantly, in terms of how we move into new markets. And like I explained earlier, new markets don't necessarily mean a new country. It may just be a new customer service, right? But one of the things, I'm on my last slide now, but one of the things that I realize is that SMEs, startups, whatever you call us, we are very nimble and very agile, typically. But when it comes to leveraging on evolving technologies, there seems to be a gap sometimes. I actually find out that even research shows that the larger corporations tend to be more swift regarding that compared to SMEs. So it then means that we need to clearly define our strategies for doing this. So I do have something I'll call the 4 pillars, and I'll speak about this and then we'll move into the panel session. So my 4 pillars are: number 1, people; Number 2, process and operations. Number 3, technology. Number 4, strategy execution. So the first one, when I speak about people, the people is divided into 2. First one is internal, and then the second one is external. So internal is what's your culture in place, right? So you want to move from Lagos into Ogun State. You want to move from Nigeria to Ghana. You want to move from Nigeria to Kenya. So I realized that ourselves and the East African market, us and Kenya, we fight for first and second place. So you see a lot of Kenya co-founders, their next place is Nigeria. You see a lot of Nigerian co-founders, their next place is Kenya. It just sort of happens that way. Then after we now do Kenya, we'll now be like, let's think about North Africa, Egypt. It literally is a trend that I see everywhere. Like, so the first one is, okay, you want to move to Kenya, for example. Let me take it that way. You offer a product, digital product, you want to move there. What are the skills you need to be able to move into a new country, right? That's what I mean by internal. What are the resources you need, right? What kind of product do you have? Again, like I said, I'm being very generic because I don't know the kind of businesses we have or what we do, right? But what kind of businesses do you have? What kind of business do you have? And what skill set do you need to move there? Now, the reason I'm talking about skill set is that people often mistake roles to be people, right? So I can be doing this role of marketing manager, but you need to define roles for your businesses. And the roles that you set for your businesses have to stem from the skill sets you need. Not people, not this person is doing this. It is roles. And then what you can now do is now you can now fit people that have the right skills into those roles that you've assigned, right? So number 1 is people internally. Number 2 is external. And the external is into 2. The first external is partnerships. I highlighted this here. I've already said that before. You find yourself collaborating, moving faster. They say if you want to move faster, Abby, go alone. If you want to move further, go with people. In this new world, collaboration, partnership takes you further than just saying, hey, I want to go by myself, right? So the reason why you see co-founders, as a matter of fact, a lot of VCs even favor people who have co-founders than sole founders, weirdly enough, right? So I think that's the second one. Think about partnerships. How can you easily go into a country without necessarily being there? I'll also give an example of a few maybe startups that I've been in. I won't mention our names. But for us, right, before we move into a country, we start with certain partners or certain customers. What we then do is, so we're not there operating physically, and then through those customers, 1 or 2 customers, we get the necessary data we need to be able to kind of like help us make some decision, right? So you're gathering data for the first 6 months, you're piloting with these 2 customers or 2 partners. Again, depending on the kind of business you have. The third one, I already mentioned it earlier, so I'll just skip over it, which is your customers. Have you done your customer acceptance? What does your customer want? How do they want it? Why do they want it? Where do they want it? When do they want it? These questions you have to answer, right? As you move into, think about your digital strategy and thinking about how that helps you in expanding in the new market. The next one is process and operations, kind of similar. How exactly, what is your process like, right? How are you streamlining your operations? What kind of automations do you need? What kind of workflows do you need, right? And I think a lot of times what then happens is, I would say this, the process that you need when you just start up is not the same process you need when you need to scale. I think that's very clear. So I see a lot of people making the mistake where, okay, so this is how we've been doing it, so this, it never works. I'll tell you for a fact, it never works, right? So being able to know, have agile methodologies that help you to streamline your process and help you to implement processes that help you scale is very important. So your process and operations are very important. What kind of structure do you have in place to ensure that these things are very, very efficient? The next one is technology. Again, back to the point, right? What kind of business are you doing? So in terms of technology and even operations, same thing. So there are some businesses that you're working on. It can be, let's say fintech. When you're moving into other countries, question is, what kind of technology is supporting you? So for example, have you been using on-prem, technology as against maybe cloud, right? Is there a need to move to cloud? Is there a need to decentralize your technology? Is there a need to, or I don't know, man. So, but those things are things that you need to critically think about. And in all these things I have said, right, I need to mention the fact that some of them may not be things that you can do by yourself. Sometimes you need to spend money to make money. You may need a professional, right? So if you just think that, oh, I just want to do it, no, 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 no. So you have to properly think about what kind of technology helps you scale. And then the last one is strategy execution. Again, like I said earlier, I'm not a marketing professional, but then, I think this is something that is very important for everybody. So if we're talking about digital innovation, the question is, what's your digital marketing strategy? Or what's your digital strategy in taking your business, from market A to market B, right? And already mentioned a few of them. So there are 9 things that I have here. I'll just highlight them, and then we can talk through them maybe later. I think the first one is content. We already mentioned this, right? So in terms of your strategy execution, what exactly do the customers in Lagos want to see? What do the customers in Kenya want to see, in Mombasa want to see? Is it different from, the customers in, I don't know, South Africa, Cape Town? So content, design, again, I'll rush through them. SEOs, content marketing, email marketing, social media marketing, voice optimization, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is you can just Google digital marketing strategy. But I thought to highlight that to say that it's very important that in terms of executing your strategy, you are very, very clear on digitally how you want your customers to see you. So where's the first point you want your customers to see you? Again, that's why the content and design is very important. Do you want your customers to see you on the app? Do your customers see you first on, social media? Do your customers see you first on a website? And when they see you, what kind of emotions do you want to evoke? So do you want to evoke the emotions of, if you don't do it now, you will die? Because again, I realize that that's what marketing people do. Like, get it now or you die by fire, by force. I don't know, man. I don't understand that marketing strategy, but it does work, right? Or do you want to evoke that emotion of, oh my gosh, FOMO, I need to have this, this is, or class, I don't know, but there are different emotions that you want to evoke, and your content or your strategy kind of needs to speak to that, right? So again, why I mentioned content design before Fatima drives me out of this place. So I think that's about it. So we can go into the panel session, and maybe I'll answer a few more questions regarding that. Thank you for clapping for me. Thank you.
Okay, that was a very, very insightful and educative session, by the way.
I hope so. Thank you.
Oh, so ma'am, I don't have much questions myself for you, because basically, so we'll be taking more of your questions from the audience, because I feel they are the one that you need to vibe with and interact with personally, as to the topic of the topic you're discussing on. So, ma'am, my first question for you is: a successful expansion strategy often requires adapting products and services to the unique needs and preference of the new market. So, do you have a bit of ideas or advice on how adaptation to the unique needs and preference of the new markets can be done by business owners?
All right, thank you very much. So first things first is regarding data and research. I think that's the cheapest way, and it has to be the first thing to do. That's the first one. Second one is leveraging on resources that can help you, right? So the world is so much of a global village right now that things are very easy, right? When you want to do your assignments, You're not going to the library to go and look for one book. You just go on Google's. You're on your bed, rolling on your bed, doing your assignments. Yeah. So my point is, the world is not a global village. So it means that you can go on LinkedIn, find somebody, be nice to them, and then you can get certain information that you need to get. Of course, not things that are confidential or whatnot. But like my point is, you literally need to leverage on networking, right? Meeting new people and doing that when you're moving to a new market is very important. Again, that's why I said I didn't want to go over some of the things that Isaac has said, because like for me, networking works all the time. The third thing that I need to say is that in certain cases, you may need local knowledge, right? So, and it depends on the market you're going into. So say I'm going into a country that I've never been to before, for example. Sometimes you may need to maybe hire somebody on a contract basis, whatnot, A lot of local influence is needed, right, in terms of doing that. So again, what you see, if you see startups or technology firms, when they're coming into Nigeria, they want to get a country manager, they want someone here, because like local understanding, local context actually helps you in terms of scaling your business in that place. So I'd say those three are the top three that come to my mind. But if you do proper data and proper research, you probably would already have done 50% of the work.
All right, ma'am. That's amazing. So another question is, whilst you were talking earlier, you made mention of the fact that delving into a new market does not necessarily mean going to a foreign country. It could mean you're just targeting a new audience, or you're targeting a new locality or something. So my question is, delving into a new market regarding to engaging to new customers and audience. Any advice on how business owners can engrave their trust into the new customers' hearts? Because take for instance, if I'm a tech startup owner, fintech to be precise, it will actually take a whole lot of trust for people to just decide to pour their money into my company and put me in charge of their money. So any idea on how business owners that are looking to delve into the new market in terms of in terms of focusing on new customers, any ideas on how they can put their trust into the hearts of their new customers?
All right. So the goal of every tech firm, or actually anybody really, you don't have to be doing tech. You can be selling clothes, whatever, is product virality. That's the ultimate goal. And product virality means that your product is so good, the people who use them do marketing for you. So I'll give an example. You can argue if you want to argue, but that's an example. In Nigeria, an example of that is Piggy Vest, right? So they didn't even ask you, just go and just go and tweet about it. It's Piggy Vest that saved my life today, because if not for Piggy Vest, that's how I know I'll be able to pay my rent. Nobody asked you, you are just saying it, right? And for you to get product virality, a few things have to happen. Number one is that you have to do as you say. Your product needs to do as it says. A lot of times, I see products over-promising and under-deliver, right? My product will do this. See, actually, if you use my product safe, you don't even have to get up from your bed. It will just rise you up and it will just take you there. There's no need for all of that, right? If you consistently, right, if your product consistently delivers the value it has promised to deliver, regardless of the value, it doesn't even matter. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Then I can tell you for a fact that the customers, then that's how you first of all find trust. So I think the first thing is people a lot of times focus on marketing, they focus on noise, they focus on PR, they focus on, especially in the tech world. I think I've just been there too long that you see these things. You're focusing on, let people know me, let me be this, I've just raised, I've just this, I've just that. My friend used to say something that the people that are actually doing the work, they don't have time to be on LinkedIn saying plenty story. And so do the work, do the actual work, let your product itself be the value. And if you deliver that value over time, you see that people will be able to do that. Second thing that I would say is that sometimes you have to use what you have to get what you want, right? So she had mentioned earlier in friends where you can leverage on your network to say, hey, I have this event, help me talk about it. Hey, I have this, help me talk about it. Myself and Young actually met at TCN CEOs what's it called group, right? That's actually how I'm here. My point is, how do you leverage the network you have to be able to get what you need? So in the first few months, first few years that you start, leverage your friends and family, right? How are they helping you be able to push the word out there? How are they helping you, just start a bit of fire that you can grow on? And then the last thing I would say is it depends on this new customer segment you're talking about, right? That also depends on how exactly you can engrave trust. So if you already have, say, a product, so I already have, say, this particular product here. It works here well, and I'm just expanding into maybe Ghana or Kenya. I'm going to be leveraging on the customer success stories that I have, right? They're my customer success stories. Yeah, they're not in South Africa, but like they work regardless, right? So a lot of times, customer success stories, not a lot of times, all the time. So people call them testimonial, you call them anything you want to call it, but leverage on the happiness you've given to someone else or the value. Get customers. Actually, customers would like to, but a lot of us don't ask. Ask your customers for customer success stories, for testimonials. Actually, be bold enough. They tell you, you will not die. But, you leverage on those for the different platforms you need other new customers to engage with you on. So if it's on social media, how do you extract your customer success story and put it on social media? If it's on your website, how do you extract your customer success story and put it on your website? And even for the case where, and I'm talking about cases where you're moving from location 1 to B, but same product or similar product. But I'll tell you a few other people that they don't have similar products. So I'll give an example. Not mentioning names, but there's a particular mobility company who is starting like an e-commerce and then BNPL. That's two different things, right? Because it's two different things. They complement each other, but it's two different things. So in that case, how do you leverage the customers that you already have within the other product segment to do what you need to do? If you also see the banks, it's the same thing the banks do. So a lot of the banks right now are having fintechs. They will leverage their customers, especially the target audience, within the bank. Do you understand? I'm already a CEO here. I now have a fintech that has, you understand, a storefront and all of that. How are you leveraging your SME segment within the bank? Right? To say, hey, we now have this thing that can actually serve you better. So there's so many things that you can do, but like, these ones just, pop out for me. Yeah.
All right, ma'am. That's a very, very interesting answer to the questions. So we'll be taking questions from the audiences now. So anyone with a question? Have mine.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, so my name is Tommy. I'm a startup founder. Actually, I'm a software engineer. And so I started watching TEDx videos about 2 years ago, and I saw how tech guys, computer science students, literally built up startups. So I got this idea of creating an e-commerce where that automates group buying, that's buying and sharing. So basically, if you want to buy a bag of rice now, just go to the site, tell people I want to buy a bag of rice, and you find out people that will buy it too. So that's Groupie NG. All right, so I took about about a year to build the website and working on an app on the low, and just me doing that. And finally, I launched.
Congrats.
I took about a year to build the software to the end, and finally I launched. I thought the customers would just roll in. Nothing like that is happening. The only people that have patronized me are my church members, my immediate family members. So, and now you're hearing from me that you're a computer science graduate, and now you're a salesperson. Later, someone sent me a screenshot about this book from Russell Brunson, Traffic Secrets, that if you create this good product, people will not run. I'm not sure if you read the book, but there's a screenshot you sent to me. So I figured out that's my story. I spent about a year building the software and the customers even come rolling in. So I want to ask, how do I transition as a software engineer, as a computer science student that I am, into a salesperson to actually sell this product that I have? Because I believe it's really, really good, it's viable, it's feasible already because it's live, it's launched already. So how do I transform that into product that people actually use? How do I become a salesperson?
All right, Tommy, well done. I was going to ask for please repeat the name again.
Tommy,
No, the name of your business.
Groovy.
Groovy, please, you guys should go to groovy.com, groovy.ng
Groovy.com.ng.
groovy.com.ng and patronize him. Please write it down. Thank you. I'm not seeing people writing it down. So, well done, well done. So what you have done is, so let me start from this. Why I transitioned, yeah, I used to program and I used to be a database, what's it called? But the transition actually happened during KPMG because I was supposed to be the tech side and I thought I wanted to learn about businesses so that if I'm building tech solutions, it actually works. And I fell in love with businesses. And again, I just got tired of programming. It just seemed like a lot of stuff, right? So my own case may be a bit different. I usually say I stumbled, I stumbled on it, right? But one thing I need to say, Tommy, is do you have a partner?
Actually, I got a co-founder about a month ago,
Okay.
and we're still trying to adjust. 'Cause
What's the co-founders supposed to be doing?
CMO.
Good. So that's what I was going to say, right? A lot of times, the reason why people, especially in tech, you need someone else to partner with you is there's some people when they start, a startup, you are getting someone similar to you. Both of you are doing, one person is doing program, one person is doing QA. I don't understand. So you need one person in business at the minimum and another person, doing the tech bit of it. So you've done a great work, but if people don't know about you, so you need someone who can do that, right? And then you need to think about creative ways you can get people to willingly create awareness around your product, right? It literally could be anything. So you see people do things such as do this to win something, right? On their product. So you have to think about all those low-cost strategies in terms of marketing, right? That will get you there. There are a couple of them. So it can be promos where, so people do that. Some people don't know why people do that, but, some people know why. Where they say, tag 5 of your friends, to follow, to win this. It's so that you can create awareness, right? So right now, when you start off, and a lot of us, when we start off, we don't have the money to actually do that. That's number one. Number two is, you've built the product. Take your time to do some grunt work. And that may actually involve some market shows or some, knocking on the doors. There's a particular name, Market Storm. Yes, my team, we call it Market Storm. So every team I start off, especially those, I was leading a team that we had to create a POSs and then go into the market. You will do the Market Storm. So on the particular day that is Market Storm day, I think it was every Thursday, we wear T-shirts, myself inclusive. We'll go to the market or where our target audiences and we're just sharing with them. Sometimes it's flyers, sometimes, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Physical interaction.
Yeah, physical interaction.
Okay.
Myself and my team. We'll go to the markets, and I've done that in 2 different companies. The other one was a BNPL company, right? Later. So we'll go to Ikeja Computer Village. We take a day, Wednesday, Thursday, we go to Computer Village, and we'll just be going about, hey, hi, what's it called? And then, of course, you ask some questions, but you just keep your conversation to 3-5 minutes per customer. And then guess what? You end up getting I think the first day we went, we had a lead sheet of about 200, right? Again, conversion rate differs. So have that thing where you can think about things like that. Second thing that I'm going to say is, again, it's never overrated. Please put your ear down. Be part of organizations, be part of things that can help you with free marketing, right? So, for example, it could be networking events where you're talking about your product. Sometimes they may not be buyers, but they may be investors, right? So you're probably at a point where you also need some fund to come in to do some big marketing. And then think about conferences where for free you can actually showcase your product. Have a banner there, have a stall, have something, or for minimal value, right? So there's so many things that you can do, but I would say do grunt work. So these people that are supposed to be your target audience, I think that your idea is so superb. You have to think about where will you find these people. They are your working class that they don't have time, but they don't want to buy a whole cow. you actually have the opportunity to do that. So think about them. Think about the association. Can you speak to the association of bankers or something like that? Association of insurance. Those are the people who are your target audience, right? So think about it. And because they are already friends, what will happen is 5 friends together, they'll come together and say, I want to buy, or maybe not, I don't know, you know. So think about places that I call them gatekeepers. Think about gatekeepers that if you talk to one, or if you can penetrate one, you have a group of them. There are a lot of them like that. SMA 100. It doesn't have to be SMA 100. I'm just saying, you know, where they actually have access to. And so when they are doing events like that, you have access to multiple of your target audience, something like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
We're done, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we will not be able to take another question. So please, let's have a quick photo session with, let me help you with that. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for our speaker. This has been really interesting and insightful. Mr. Young, can we have you on stage? Where is he? Please join them. Once again, please let's have a round of applause for our speakers. So our time is fast spent, and we need to immediately go into the next session. But that was very insightful. That was interesting, because this is something that a lot of startup founders Okay, can somebody help me move it, please? Because I can't move this. Thank you. So we have a lot of startup founders, like Tommy, who are in that dilemma and just needed to hear those words of wisdom from you. So thank you so much, Miss Leila. Can we have another round of applause for her? Thank you. So our next speaker is someone I like to call a highly sought after speaker and trainer who has trained over 6,000 creators and has worked with multinationals like MTN, YouTube, and Jumia, amongst others. This man, as we know him, is the king of content creation and community building. Ladies and gentlemen, with a rousing applause, please welcome on stage Salem King.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. You could be anywhere on a Friday morning, but you decided to be here, so please clap for yourselves for 1 minute. Congratulations on doing that for yourself. Congratulations on showing up for yourself. So today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. We don't have a lot of time, so we're just going to run through it. I'm talking about how communities can change culture. And when we talk about culture, it's more than one thing. A lot of things go into what we categorize as culture, right? There's tech, religion, health, education. Everything that goes into how people decide what their way of life is going to be counts as culture. So let's talk about how community affects all of that and how that you, knowing the power of community, can leverage the power of that to either build your brand, build your business, build whatever it is you want people to rally around. We're going to talk about how you can do that, right? So who's ready for this conversation? Say yes, like aloud, if you're ready. Who's ready for this conversation? Okay, great. That sounds good. That's more energy. So before we talk about how community changes culture, let me tell you about how community changed my own life. how can we do that? So let me tell you about how commits changed my own life, and then you can then find yourself in a mix. So I started making content sometime in 2018. It wasn't serious. I just can I come closer to you guys? That seems really far. Is this fine? Okay, so I started making content in 2018, and I wasn't taking it very seriously. I would make videos, and it would just be on my stories because anything you post on stories will disappear after 24 hours. You get. So it was the simple way to not have like a lot of investments, like a low commitment way to do content creation. One foot inside, one foot outside. At least if it's bad, it will disappear after 24 hours. So I kept doing that. But sometime in December 2018, I made a decision that I'm going to make a video every day for 30 days. At the time, I did not know that this was a strategy for growth on social media. I did not know that consistency, like if you want to grow on social media, you can decide to be consistent, like intensify your consistent for a period of time and actually speed up your growth. I did not know this. I just wanted to push myself. I had a 9 to 5, and everybody has things that they do now to escape the craziness of 9 to 5 on the weekend or something. For me, what that thing was content creation. So I started making a video every day. I said I'm going to make a video every day for 30 days. At the time, I had 1,500 followers on Instagram. And I was thinking, how can I go from 1,500 to 2,000? In my mind, I'm like, if I can just go from 1,500 to 2,000 in this 30-day period, that would actually be nice. Right? In my mind, I thought if I can just grow by 500 people, that would be amazing. I would have blown. Now, in that 30-day period, my following grew ×3. So I grew to 5,000 in that 30-day period. And I ended up not even putting out up to 30 videos because my account was growing so fast. I literally went from a regular Instagram user to somebody who was getting hundreds of comments on a post. So I needed to slow down because it became overwhelming. So I had to calm down and miss some days. I ended up posting like 21 videos at the end of the month, but still I went to 5,000. So that's when it hits me for the first time that people really like this stuff. Oh, okay, that there's more where that came from. Because everything I was making content about was stuff that I had been telling myself, stuff that I had written in my notes and stuff. And I just decided to start making content about those things. So I was putting it out, some months later, my account continued to grow. I still had a 9 to 5 with no plans to do content creation full time because it did not make sense. How do you explain to your parents that you want to be a content creator? Like even till now, sometimes I still get times when someone asks you, what do you do? And you tell them you're a content creator. Like, oh, that's cool. What's your real job? Where's your office? Especially family members sometimes. Because they don't really see it as, a full-time. And they're not wrong to think that way because at the time, it's not like now, like after 2020 lockdown, everywhere just scattered. But before, like you really couldn't tell your parents that you're content. Like what does that mean? Was 1 out of 1 million people who used to be good at it and make enough money to be sustainable. But I had a brand that reached out to me some months later. The email was like, oh, Salem, we love the work you do, yada, yada, yada. We have this campaign coming up. How much would you charge to promote so and so? And that was the first time in my life that I realized you could charge money to promote stuff. So me in my mind, I'm like, what? Charge? So you mean this thing I'm doing for free? I can actually do the same thing, but you give me money if I mention your brand inside. My mind exploded. So, of course, that deal never worked out, but there was just something in my mind that made me realize, oh, I'm in a very good position here with these people. And when I kept going, I used to get people ask me all the time, how do you make your videos? How are you able to communicate so clearly? How are you able to say so much within such a short time? And I would answer people. I would respond to their DMs. I would send screen recording, all that stuff in detail. for free. So people were asking me, Salem, do a class now. Salem, do a class. I'm like, what if I do a class and you people did not pay? Because one thing about social media, one thing social media has taught me, I've learned the hard way, is don't believe the hype. Right? Once you make one video and you say one phrase that really catchy, people say, put it on a t-shirt, we'll buy. If you go and do it because people said they will buy, you're going to learn the hard way that the thing that makes people to comment, like, and share is different from what makes them part with money. The principles are different. So that's something I had learned the hard way, that I beg, you are not going to put me on a pedestal that I'm going to fall from. I'm not doing class. But a lot of people kept asking, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to teach. But I'm going to do it for free. At least after the free class, if nobody gets anything from the free class, it will just be that we wasted each other's time. Nobody will come and say, where is my 10,000? You're a scam, you're a fraud. Salem King exposed. None of that was going to happen with a free course. So I did a free course, and what that free teaching allowed me to do is it allowed me to validate my ideas. It allowed me to know that this thing that I have been learning, these things I've been documenting along the way, people can actually apply it and get similar results. So in that class, there were different kinds of creators, lifestyle creators, makeup, fashion, different people. And I saw the results they got, and that gave me confidence. So I'm like, okay, I can charge money. Next one, I'm going to do 5,000 naira. And that's how I started charging for classes. That's how I started making money on social media. But the main event that happened that forever changed my perspective on community, I'm going to tell you about. This happened, I think, in late 2019 or I can't remember, late 2019 or early 2020, one of those years. I put up a post with a caption with just 3 words. Now, at this time, I had a very engaged community. At every point, I've always had a very engaged community. So I put up a post with just 3 words. 3 words were, what's bothering you? Now, I put up posts like that all the time, where I would ask my audience questions and they would interact, and stuff. So that day I thought, everybody would just ask me questions now about, I'm trying to grow my Instagram. So and so is the problem. I'm trying to run ads. I'm not sure how to navigate it. How do I use hashtags? I thought it was just going to be normal questions like that. I was wrong. Apparently, people had a lot in their chest that they needed to offload, and my comment section was a safe space. I guess it was too safe. Because they were really, really expressing themselves. And me, I came back like 30 minutes after I put up the post, and I saw that there were over 200 comments. And I was afraid. So I did what any responsible adult would do. And I put my phone away. I turned it off, because I'm just like, you people are not going to kill me. So I put my phone away, but I couldn't get it off my mind because I really care about my community. So I came back to that post. Like another 30 minutes later, like 1 hour after I posted it, and then I saw that something very interesting has started to happen in the comment section. Apparently, people would look at the post, see the caption, and they would go straight to the comments, and they were responding to other people. So there were people in the comments like, is that what you're going through? Is that what you're experiencing? Send me a DM. Or somebody else would be like, let's get coffee tomorrow and discuss it. Let's jump on a call. Where do you stay? You live in Abuja, let's meet. And people were helping each other. Me, that I was intimidated by the size of their problems, I saw that people in my community had solutions that even me, I did not have. And in the process of all of this, I learned a very important lesson, which is the foundation for what I'm talking about today. I learned that even though this community had formed around me, it was not about me. Right? My job was to be a catalyst. My job was to create the space where people could feel open, where people could interact, where people could give value to themselves. I imagined that the framework of a community, for the most part, would be me offering value to others. I didn't realize that in me leading a community and creating that space, I was also opening a door for them to offer value to themselves. So if you are at this event, for example, if you are at this event, why am I saying if? As you are at this event, for example, and you think all the value you're going to get out of this event is from the speakers that are here, you've missed out on 90% of the value you could get from here. So if you feel like, the bulk of everything good I'm going to squeeze out of this event is because of all the speakers that are coming, you've missed out on 90%. If at the end of this day you don't know the name of the person sitting next to you, you've also missed out on 90% of the value that you could get from here. Right? So that event just led me to start taking community seriously. Made me realize, wait, this thing is very serious. I cannot just treat this with levity anymore. And as I continue to take it serious, and I started to research community, because I'm like, if the community I built is creating this kind of safe space for people who needed to talk to someone about it, like it was such a pressing need for them that they didn't talk to their family members. They came to talk about it on the internet, in public. So imagine how deep it was for them. So I now started thinking, wait, so everybody has problems like this. Who is going to lead the communities where they'll be able to express themselves? I can't reach everybody. And so I started to do a lot of research, and I decided I'm going to teach other people how to do this. Right? And that's where my first book came out from, titled Community. Community with a Y-O-U, community. And the whole reason for that body of work was I wanted to teach as many people as I could how to build communities, whether it's communities of 3 people, 10 people, 100 people, 10,000, 500,000, so that more people could have that experience of a safe space. And in my research, there's something I learned about in my research that some of you may have learned in secondary school. Has anybody heard about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Those are the people that went to good schools. No shade, no shade. But I'll explain it real quick. So if you haven't heard about it, after this event, go and Google it, spend some time, watch YouTube videos about it. You're going to learn so much. So Abraham Maslow is this cool chap from like 100 years ago. He's a psychologist, a scientist, who comes up with this list, obviously based on research, that shows the most important needs of human beings, most important needs of mankind. Like for you to self-actualize, to get to a point where you can actually be happy and enjoy your life, there are certain needs that must be met. So first thing on his list is physiological needs. So that's food, water. It goes without saying. If you don't eat for a certain number of days, you're going to pass out, and not in a good way. Right? So physiological needs. Second is safety and security needs. So like shelter, a place to stay, just knowing that you are not in a war zone. So people who are in a war zone, you know how we were here, we're talking about personal branding, we're talking about building community. People who are in Gaza, that's the list of their problems. There's nobody organizing events there for them to talk about how to build a personal brand on social media. Do you understand? So you see the gravity of those needs, food and water, safety and security. Guess what's number 3 on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? A sense of belonging, which is also community, basically. So I realized that community is a survival need. So it's not just this thing that is nice to have. If you work in marketing circles, it's become like a buzzword where people are just like, oh, I want to build a community. I want to have a community of tech wizards. I want to have a community of empowered women and all that. And sometimes people even wake up and say, oh, I want to build a community. And then they carry like 100 people and put them in a WhatsApp group. That's not a community, that's a WhatsApp group. Because communities form around impact. A community doesn't happen because you said you want to build a community. A community happens because you've impacted one person and you've impacted another person, and then those 2 people have one thing in common. The thing they have in common is that they have been impacted by you. Then the community forms. If you try to put community before the impact, you're going to have a WhatsApp group on your hands. Right? And not the good kind. How many of you are in WhatsApp groups that you want to leave, but you're afraid of that Chidima left the WhatsApp group, so you're still there. So we don't have a lot of time, but let's jump into how you can build community. First of all, I get this question a lot. People ask, I want to build a community. I always ask them why. What do you want to achieve that requires you to build a community? And then once they start to stutter, I'm just like, yeah, you shouldn't build a community. You should join one. So before you lead, you should know what it feels like to follow. Do you agree? Would you agree? Exactly. So if you want to lead a community, you need to know how communities work. So I always recommend being a part of a community and being a valuable member of every community that you're in. So be as resourceful as possible. Be the person who's helping everybody else. So that way you know how a community works. Like you can even look at, the way someone's leadership style and identify, there's some gaps there. These are some things that when I want to lead a community, I will do differently. Right? So the first step is actually join a community. Why do you want to start a community if you've never been in one before? Even now that I lead a community of over 200,000 people across platforms, I still belong in communities. I still am a part of several communities for different reasons, with different sets of advantages that I get from all these communities, apart from the one that I lead. So first of all, you need to join a community. You need to ask yourself, why do I want to build a community? Now, the second thing you want to do, which can be, it won't be easy, but the barrier to entry is low, is to build a personal brand. Build a personal brand. So years ago, if you wanted to build a personal brand, you needed to be rich or you needed to be a celebrity. Right? Because at the end of the day, your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. People's perception of you. Years ago, if you wanted to determine what that perception was going to be, you needed to be in a newspaper, you needed to be on TV, radio. Those were the ways through which you could influence what people thought about you. It was very expensive. That means as the average person, you cannot really determine anything. But now, 30 years later, all of that has been democratized. And if you have a smartphone and an internet connection, you can actively determine what people will think about you, what people will say about you, what kind of opportunities they consider you for, what kind of people you attract by building a personal brand. And the easiest way to do this is storytelling. Storytelling using social media. Storytelling using social media. I don't know if we have enough time to get into the nitty-gritty of how, but real quick, how many more minutes do I have? Okay, so real quick, let's talk about how you can come up with a basic strategy for using social media to build a personal brand, where you can tell your story and determine what people are going to think about you. So the first thing you want to do is ask yourself, who do you want to attract? So in more technical terms, that would be determine who your target audience is. Who's your target audience? But for the sake of this session, let's simplify that and just ask yourself, who do I want to attract? And don't overthink it, yeah? Don't think about it as, oh my gosh, now I need to think like a marketing genius of my target audience. I need to think about an avatar. No, think about it like, if you go to a wedding, who are the people you want to hang around? Right? Like every time you walk into a building where you are going to meet family and friends, you know the exact people you want to sit with. Is it not? You know the people you want to hang around. You know the kind of conversations you want to have. You know that you don't want to sit at that auntie's table that will ask you, when will you marry? Jigger, you know you don't want to stay around that uncle that will ask you that, you have put on, oh. Jigger, you want to stay around the people that make you feel a certain way because there's a goal you have. At the end of the wedding, you want to have a good time, you want to be happy, you want to love your family more, not less. So, based on all those goals, you know where you go and sit. So think about social media the same way. Who do I want to attract? The next question you want to answer is, what are their problems? What are their problems? What are their frustrations? Identify those problems, identify those frustrations, and ask yourself, Now, why is this part important? The reason why this is important is because you are only as valuable as your understanding of the problems that you seek to solve. Everybody who gets the big bucks, they normally understand the problems better than other people. How many of you have been to a hospital? Great. So when you went to, no, second question, who has spent more time in your body than you? Is there anybody that has spent more time in your body than yourself? So when the doctor tells you, like when you go to the hospital and say, this is what's going on with me, and the doctor tells you what's wrong, why do you believe him? Is he supposed to know your body better than you? It's yes or no? Exactly. So you know your body more than anybody else, but the doctor understands anatomy more than you. He understands physiology more than you. He understands the chemistry, the biology, and everything about how a human body works. So when you tell him, oh, I've been feeling headache, he knows that, okay, that's not a headache, that's an inflammation of the, then you now call one body part that you've never heard before. Right? And then after he does that, you pay him. Do you know why? Because he understands your problems better than you. So as someone who is trying to build a community, you need to understand that you're in a position of influence where you need to understand the problems and the things that are going on better than the people who are even going through them. Every piece of content you've ever come across online that made you feel like, wow, is this person in my head? Yes, they're in your head. They thought about someone exactly like you and decided, I want to attract someone like this, someone who's going through this. They studied the problems and they understand the problems better than you. That's why they're able to give you a solution. And if you had money and they have a book to sell, or they have a course, or they have an event, you pay because there's something they have that you don't. Even though you have the problem, they have the solution. All right? Third step is you want to find a bridge. So find a bridge between problems that people have and solutions you want to offer. Seth Godin says, communities no longer form around mediocre causes. So if you want to build a community, you need to know what you're doing. You need to be very clear, right? Understand that community is not just this thing that's nice to have. Community is a responsibility. Remember when I said it's a survival need? It's something that human beings need. As long as we have existed, as far back as cavemen, people have needed to exist in communities. Like if you were away from the community, it means you could get eaten by a wild animal. It's the same way that as we are now, we're not meant to be isolated. So people need communities. That need has transcended time and come to where we are now, to the social media age, and people still need community in the same way. So understand that community is a responsibility. But I'm not going to stop at telling you that it's a responsibility without telling you that it's also a great opportunity for you. Building a community allows you to gain access to opportunities that you normally wouldn't have access to, right? It's a great way to improve your chances at thought leadership. It's a great way to have a stream of income, right? There will always be people who support you, support anything you do just because you have that community. Whether you decide to sell a book, or you decide to have an event, or you decide to make t-shirts, or whatever it is, there's just a ready audience that's ready to accept whatever it is you have to offer. So apart from the fact that it's a responsibility and only people who are ready to take the responsibility should venture, it is also a great opportunity. It can change your life. So even though community is this thing that can change the world, that can change culture, that can change organizations, the first person that you should allow it to change is yourself. Thank you guys so much for listening. So we can jump right into the questions now.
Alright guys, Salem won't be having a panel session because he's in a bit of a hurry. so sorry for keeping. Okay, everyone. Good afternoon. Guys, what happened? We are looking dull now. Come on. Are we hungry? Then what's the problem? We aren't giving the hype. Alright, so Seleng, that's a very wonderful and insightful session, to be honest. So I have a few personal questions myself on behalf of friends, not a friend, on behalf of friends. So my first question basically is you are a renowned content and respected content creator. So my first question for you is, for people that are planning to go into content creation full time, but their parents or the community that they are in envisage a different set of goal for them. Maybe, okay, you're from a family of lawyers, so obviously you're going to law school and you're going to become a lawyer. You're from a family of professionals, so you're definitely going to become a professional. So someone in such situation, but they are in love with content creation, by the way. So how would they or how should they break that yoke of or that burden that the community have placed on them?
That's a great question. First of all, most people's first line of thinking is, you know what, these people, they don't support my dreams. I'm going to throw it all away. I'm going to... One, if you want to go into content creation so you can make money, like if that's your primary reason from beginning, I think you should give up. Like, give up early, because you still give up later. Give up early, because it's not easy money. There's a sense in which when there is a boom in a certain industry where a lot of people start to blow up at doing a certain thing, people start to think, this thing is easy, I'm going to go do it too. But there's no easy money in anything. Like, literally, there's no area of life where there's easy, not even in crime. Do you get? Because I know somebody's thinking, except crime. Do you think it's easy to plan a heist? Have you tried it before? Do you get? It's very difficult. So that said, it's not going to be easy. Secondly, if you are already in school and somebody else is paying your school fees, you should finish school. Puja. And she was telling me about how for her studio, her landlord just woke up one day and said he's increasing the rent after 1 year. And she told him that according to land use law, you're not allowed to increase the rent until I've been here for 2 years. And he increased the rent of everybody else in the building and left her alone. Right? So she was telling me about how being, like, her knowledge of the law has saved her sometimes. She's not practicing law. After law school, that was the last thing she ever had to do with law, was after law school. Do you get? All that while she's been a photographer. And then another thing I would like to say is, when your parents are worried that, they sent you to school, you studied accounting, and now you want to be a content creator, when they are worried about the chances that you'll be successful, they are right to be worried. Because statistically, how many people that release music end up being able to do it as a full-time career, for example? And music is a part of everybody's daily life, but not everybody ends up making it. Thousands, millions of songs are uploaded every single day. Do you get? But a lot of people who even end up doing it as a full-time job, they have to stop at some point. and like use the money they've gotten to invest in other things, because you won't be hot always. Do you get? You may blow, and after a while you will unblow. So when parents and people who are from a different generation are worried about the longevity of your career, they are not wrong to be worried. From their perspective and from what they know, they feel like the one thing, the area that will guarantee that you'll be fine is if you go to school and you get a job. They know that at least this job, something will come every month. Do you understand? But when you're a creator, sometimes you have a really good month. Sometimes you have 2 months where there's nothing. Do you get? So it's really volatile. And it's the same way with business and being an entrepreneur. You're not going to have business every day. You're not always going to have a great day. So sometimes they're actually right. But you just need to understand that sometimes you might need to live a double life for a limited period of time, right? Where you accept that these people want me to be a lawyer, so I'm going to finish school so that they're happy. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put my efforts into building myself in this area, posting content consistently, putting myself out, making connections, meeting people. You want your parents to accept that, oh, this is a good line of work, but they might not. Right? I'm here speaking to you guys. I don't think my parents understand what I do for a living. I'm being serious. Right? I'm in my late 20s. I have a whole life. But they don't understand it. But if I was working at a bank and I was in sales and marketing, they would feel better. Like they would know that at least my son is not wearing t-shirt and sneakers up and down. Do you get? So these are things that we just sort of need to accept. And over time, if you're in a position where you're still like living in their house and all, that should be fuel to work even harder. Do you get? That should fuel you to actually work hard. You want to get to the point where you're not asking for money, where you're taking care of things around the house. Let them see that this phone you're pressing is paying bills. Do you get? Then you have mouths to talk. But if they are the ones funding your life, and the funding they are using to fund, they are using it to do pictures in restaurants every other day, and telling them, they are not going to understand. Just focus on the people. Your parents and your friends, they are not your target audience. Focus on your target audience. So there's a sense in which, the validation we need, people say, oh, you shouldn't need validation. No, we're human beings, we need validation. But just be okay with the fact that I'm not going to get it from my parents. I'm not going to get it with my old friends. And seek to connect with people with whom your creativity just finds better expression around them. So you're going to need community apart from the one you grew up with. You get what I'm saying? So you're going to need to find other people. If you're a photographer, you need to find other photographers. If you're a makeup artist, you need to find other makeup artists and connect with them. Talk about your problems. Those are the people. Don't try and make your family understand it. Where will you start from? Do you get? Those ones, they are not going to understand. I think the first time I started to get some respect from my dad for my work was when I was going to be on Channels TV. I was going to be on Robbing Minds. I was like, wow, oh wow. They invited you on TV to talk about what? I said about content. He said, as who? I said, as who I am. I'm an authority in my industry, So he watched it. He sent the flyers to his friends, posted it on WhatsApp. That was like the first time that he was like, okay. He's like, this thing you're doing is serious, small. It took a while. Like, and even now, I'll still get questions sometimes like, oh, are you okay? Do you have money? Yeah, fine. I'm serious. Like, even up until last week when I visited my parents in Abuja, I'll still get questions like that, even though I'm like doing stuff that they can see. So I'll just encourage you to find community apart from the one you grew up with. That's going to help you. That's going to save your life in the times when it's just difficult to be in your shoes. And this is not just for creative professionals. Even when you work in tech too, you build product for 2 years. Why do you need to tell your parents that you are building products? They'll tell you, go and look for job. Go and look for job. I'll call your uncle. Go and send him your CV now. So those are my 2 cents.
Oh, okay. So, can I ask you a question though?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so you stated the fact that your dad still call you to ask if you're okay or you need anything. Is your dad on Instagram?
Sorry?
Is your dad on Instagram?
Yes, now he is.
Because I cannot understand that why we have somebody that is traveling to Egypt, Jordan, and the likes of that. You're traveling around, and I'll still ask you that, are you fine?
Yeah. I mean, so it's back to what I said earlier. Your parents love you, so that's where some concern comes from. Like, it's not like they don't want you to pursue your dreams. It's just like, I don't want this your dream that you're pursuing to get you to put you in a position. Exactly. I don't want you to need to beg. I want you to be fine. I want you to have a
Independence.
exactly. So those are the worries sometimes. My dad is actually my one of my biggest fans right now. He'll come and ask me, I saw that you hit 100K. Congratulations. I saw this person I watch on Nollywood. I saw their comments in your post. They know you. Where do they know you from? And encouraging like that. But it's taking a lot of time to get to that point, and I just decided to move on in spite of it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm on to my next question. My next question is, you said earlier that if you're going into content creation for the sole purpose of making money, then that means you're not in the right industry. But there will be a time that monetization is definitely necessary. So how would you advise upcoming content creators to be able to get money, to monetize their contents?
Now, that's a wonderful question. So first of all, content creation, social media is a new industry worldwide, right? Compared to every other area of human endeavor, social media is a new industry. There's a lot about it that we're still figuring out as we go. Do you get? There were a lot of companies that were pioneers. They're gone. MySpace is nowhere to be found anymore. Tumblr is still there, but it's that they're there as if they are not there. There's which one again? Clubhouse. No, I'm talking about like long time ago. There were a lot of pioneers, Sha, that started. They're not here anymore. Facebook, you know, to expand. They bought Instagram, bought WhatsApp. Do you get? And they are always changing stuff. Instagram used to be a photos app. Now we don't know what it is. TikTok came inside, joined the group chats, gave everybody a run for their money. YouTube had to introduce short form content to their platform, and they are funding it heavily to get people to create more. So like, it's such a fast moving and fast changing industry. We're still figuring it out. This is worldwide. Then Nigeria, we have not even started. So there's a sense in which people think social media is saturated, but I don't believe that. Because how many Nigerians even have access to internet? The majority of Nigerians do not have access to the internet, right? We just sit here in Lagos and feel like, wow, Instagram is saturated, everybody is a content creator. No, everybody's not. Do you know any content creator that is based in Yobe State? Do you know any content creator that is based in Kano with 500,000 followers? Anybody? Nasarawa, Ilorin, Enugu. So those are all places that are untapped. So there's so many stories that are still untold, right? If you go to the US, you know LA-based content creators, you know New York-based people, you know people in Ohio, different parts of the country with different cultures being showcased. In Nigeria, it's like it's just Lagos and Abuja, and mostly even Lagos self. So there's a lot that is still to be figured out. Now, I said all of that to just create a foundation for what I'm about to say. So when you're going to an industry that is like this, that isn't 100% structured, you need to know that there's a lot of self-leading involved, right? So if I want to start content creation and I know I want to make money, ideally you should set a target for yourself. Like, okay, within 1 year of doing this thing, I want to start monetizing. It's very difficult for you to monetize from day one because monetizing on social media requires you to build trust. Building trust requires you to put out content consistently over a period of time because you're building trust with people. Do you get? And then being in Nigeria itself, that trust factor is just not there. There are a lot of business models that don't work in Nigeria simply based on the fact that there's no trust factor. Do you get? There's so many things. Access to credits. So many things in Nigeria that just don't work because there's no trust. So as someone who's a content creator, you just need to recognize that You live in this country. Things are different. It's still a new industry. It might take some time, but if you know what you're doing and you're playing your cards right, you can actually make it work. But don't just wake up with no money in your bank account and quit your job to go and start YouTube. You are going to see shaggy. I'm just saying. I mean, some people, make rash decisions like that, and they get honored for it. You get, because they say fortune favors the brave. But I cannot sit up here in this position and tell you that that's the wise thing to do. It is not. So, as much as you can, if you have a job, keep your job, keep the lights on, and keep doing what you do. Me, I was like 1 year into content creation before I quit my job. And before I quit my job, there were certain things I had put in place. I knew that this thing could sustain me. And even after I quit my job and started to work by myself, I still saw my fair share of shege and sapa jiggy month to month, before I got to the point where things stabilized a little bit. Even now, there's not every month is great. Some months are better than others, and there's no guarantee, but you just need to play your cards right. Think like a business person. Um, don't come and do content creation because you think it's the easy way out. It is not. There's no easy money in anything. So think like a business person. Understand that this is like me starting a business. Do a cost benefit analysis. What is it going to require for me? Do I have it to give? And while I'm doing it, what am I going to get out of it? What's the first month going to look like? What's the first 3 months going to look like? What's the first 6 months going to look like? What's the first 1 year going to look like? Don't just go in blind. That's my advice.
Okay, so before I proceed to my third question, since you're on a tight. Okay, so guys, Selim will be having his breakout session here on stage. So what I'll ask you to do is jot down any question that you want to ask. Jot down your question, put your name, and whilst he's answering the third question, so that once he's done with the question, we'll just proceed to the breakout session. Any question that you want to know, anything you're interested in knowing about content creation, not necessarily about what he discussed, anything you're interested in knowing about content creation. So on to my third question. My third question is, so on to my third and final question. For a content creator, okay, an aspiring content creator that is planning on making it big and is hoping to make it big. So, but the fan base and the audience are not there yet. Okay, let's say I've been creating content for 3 years, but for that period of that 3 years, I've been staggering between a rough 350 to 200 followers, 350 to 200 followers. I'm on the verge of giving up. But then I got introduced to this new followers booster stuff that is going on now. So is it advised for content creators to get or to boost their accounts in a not so ingenious way? Yeah, let me put it.
The easy answer is no, because if you're building a community, you want to build a community of real people, not a community of bots. You want a community of real people, not a community of bots. And I don't think, please, I stand corrected, but I don't think it's possible to post content consistently with a valuable message for 3 years and be on 250 followers. It's not possible. It's not possible. There's something they're getting wrong. So either they're not clear on who their target audience is, or they are speaking to the wrong people, or they are not communicating well. There is one of those things. It's just not possible, especially with the way social media is set up now. Do you get? If this was 2019, I would understand. But with the way social media is set up now, if you're reaching out to the right target audience, you understand who you're trying to reach out to, and you're reaching out with a message that is valuable. And by value, I need to clarify. When I say value, a lot of people think value means teaching, right? Or offer. Because when people talk about value, they mean you're adding something. Are we together? But that's not the only thing value means. Value ultimately is whatever people need or want that they can't give themselves. To them, it is valuable. So For example, someone might be able to justify spending 30,000 naira on an online course that teaches you how to bake or how to make money. But if I'm spending that same 30,000 naira to go to a stand-up comedy show, someone might argue that that's not valuable. Abi? But if I'm paying for it with my hard-earned money, it's valuable to me. I'm going there to laugh. I'm going there to dance. I'm going to drink. But to me, what that comedian is offering is value. So the people we follow on Instagram that make us laugh, there's something there that they're giving us that we cannot give ourselves. Therefore, it is valuable. So everybody should find a way to offer value. And then secondly, in the off chance that it is possible that you've been posting consistently for 3 years and you're experiencing no growth, I'm going to say, understand that you do not only create to build an audience, you also create to build yourself. Right? You do not create only to build an audience, you create to build yourself. One day, someone is going to come across your account, somebody who's been looking for someone exactly like you on the internet, and the upside is they're going to have a lot of posts to binge. Do you get? Because you have been putting yourself out there. But if you are not putting yourself out there, there's nothing for them to binge. They'll see one post and they'll go away. But if you are putting consistently, another thing again is your first video might be shit. Your second video, your 10th video might still not be great. But if you do it 100 times, one day you're going to compare your first video to your 100th video and you see a night and day difference. Do you get? So keep in mind that you're not just only creating to build an audience, you're also building yourself and your skill and your ability and your confidence in general. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a very great response. So, questions from the audience, please. Just one. I think we have some. Oh, okay. So, audience, please, we have to take pictures now.
Please, can we have a round of applause for Salem and Ibrahim? That was a wonderful session. So they're going to have a very quick photo, and then we'll move into the breakout session. Please, can we have the music down? Thank you. But this breakout session will work a little differently. It will work a little differently in the sense that it's going to be like a conversation between you and the speakers. So we're going to have Salem King on stage, and we're also going to have Leila on stage. So if you have questions that are really burning you, you really want to understand what content creation is or what marketing is, how to break into a different market, then you definitely want to ask our speakers. So please let's welcome on stage. So please let's welcome on stage, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Lela Omo Ikiroda. Please let's have a round of applause for her as she walks to her seat. Thank you. So if you had a question for Salem or for Leila, this is your chance to ask away. Ladies and gentlemen, who has a question? I said ask away and you just shot like, oh my God, I'm going to kill these people today. I have questions for them. Okay, so we have one person in the back. Any other questions? 2, 3, any other person? 4. Don't be shy. If you have questions, I mean, this is why you're here. You came to ask what has been bothering you, to get solutions to your problems. There's no other question, okay? Just in case you might have a question later, just raise your hand in case. Okay, so we have a number of people. Can we have the first question? Please let us know who you are directing the question to and go straight into the question.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Salem and Leila. My question is for, okay, sorry. My question is for Salem. Sorry, can I look at him? Because I don't like this idea of looking at the camera. So I'm just going to do this and this. So yeah, my question is for Salem. We currently live in a new age of social media where, people want to start communities and it's really difficult. Um, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it's just, oh, I'm interested in fashion. I'm just a fashion, vlogger, everything. But now it's like, so what is your niche market in the fashion? So it's like, the tiniest amount of like people you can, gather together. So what advice would you give like someone who loves content creation, loves building a community, wants to have a community on social media, but they have just a basic idea of what they want to do exactly, but it's just like under this broad field, but they want to find a niche market. What's their unique selling point? What would make them like have like a bigger community? Not with a bigger community. What would make them even have a community that would engage properly with them? Just beyond like, oh, I'm a fashion content creator and I just want to create fashion content. I want to know where I can get your course because I know you have a course. Could you tell us like where we could get the course and just more details about that? Thank you.
Perfect. Do I answer now?
Yes, please.
Okay. First of all, yes, you're right. You should find a niche and niche down as much as you can. However, make sure that that's not something that's stopping you from taking steps you need to take because clarity comes on the road. So if you already know you want to make content, but the reason you haven't started is because you're like, oh, I don't think I've niched down enough. That's not going to happen by you brainstorming. Do you get? That's going to happen when you're out on the road, getting your hands dirty, interacting with people, seeing what problems actually make you smile and keep you up at night. And then you realize, oh, I think I'm leaning more toward these people. Sometimes it also happens by you making content and seeing the kind of people it attracts, right? Sometimes it's less about you deciding this is my niche and more you putting content out and saying, who does this appeal to? Who are my people? Which people are my tribe? And then you now gravitate toward those people. So don't let it be the thing that stands between you and the steps that you need to take in the direction of you making content. But when it comes down to you deciding what your own selling point is, you should ask yourself questions like, what am I passionate about? And when you ask what are you passionate about, don't just think about only the positive side. Also think about the negative side, like what makes me mad? Right? Like there are people who have started whole businesses based on things that disgust them, that they just, and of course over time it connected to much bigger goals. You get like sustainability and stuff like that on a very, very large scale. But it started from just hating to see people later. So ask yourself questions: what am I passionate about? What am I mad about? What's the change that I want to see in the world? And also ask yourself questions about your own life, like. I always like to say there's certain factors that no two people have the same combination of, your education, your exposure, your expertise, your experiences, your interests. How have all of those things played into who you are now? Because those things sort of inform the unique perspective of the world that you have. So if Lela, for example, was talking about the color black, it would be different from how I would talk about the color black, right? If she wants to talk about akara, she would define it in very different words from the way I would define akara. She might describe the color and the texture. I might describe the smell. It's the same thing we're talking about, but how you go about it boils down to how much you know about yourself, and that knowledge isn't just going to come from introspection. It will come from putting yourself out there. Clarity will come on the road. Yeah.
I think she mentioned something about your course.
Oh, my course, yes. It's actually, today's Black Friday and it's actually 70% off.
Wow.
So go to @Salem Kinging, click the link in my bio, @Salem Kinging on Instagram, click the link in my bio and get 70% off. Black Friday sale.
Amazing. A round of applause. I think that deserves a round of applause. Okay, so our next speaker, next question. Please just say who you're directing the question to and go straight and don't explain or when I was. Okay. Just go straight.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael, and I'll be directing this question to Mon Salem. So the question for me is, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? Because sometimes we tend to have that brilliant idea, and we have a plan to execute the idea. It can also go for Miss Leila too. You have that plan to execute the idea, you have the idea, but you feel like it's a bit big in front of you. And then you now see someone else who has done it to that extent. How do you deal with getting yourself off those overthinking and then dealing with imposter syndrome? So that's my question.
Do you know what imposter syndrome is? Do you know
Yes, yes.
what's imposter syndrome?
So it's more like feeling like you are not enough when there's someone else enough. So it's like there's a competition.
Okay, that's not exactly what imposter syndrome is actually. So there's a sense in which imposter syndrome has just become like this very nice buzzword that we use all the time. So imposter syndrome is is you feeling undeserving of your success. You feeling like you've achieved something, but that it just purely happened by luck, and then one day everybody's going to find out that it happened by luck, and they'll find out you're a fraud. That's what imposter syndrome is. Fear of uncertainty is not the same thing as imposter syndrome, right? I consider imposter syndrome a high quality problem because people who have imposter syndrome is because you've experienced some success that you have it in the first place. So a lot of times it just shows you gaps that exist. But what you're describing, I feel like is just a problem of uncertainty and comparison, which is very easy to take care of if you focus on what is in front of you. Do you get? So whatever it is that is in your hands to do, you need to not focus on how anybody else is doing it. Is who are you trying to attract? Who are you trying to attract with your content and whatever you're creating? Who is it for? Do you understand their problems? See, a lot of people that follow you, they'll follow other people. What are you going to do about it? Do you get? Most of my favorite creators, my friends that we even collaborate and we work together, we share audiences. People belong in my community and belong in their own community, right? There's enough to go around. So whatever it is you want to do, don't say, I'm not going to do it because somebody else is doing it. Have you noticed that there are certain streets where there's like 7 banks in a row?
Yes.
Or some streets, there's Chicken Republic, there's Domino's, there's Drumsticks, there's all of them. Do you think any of them is taking sales from the other person? Because the same me, on that same street, there's some days when it's chicken I want. There's the day when I want local food. I'm not going to go to the chicken place. I'm not going to be like on my way there, now see chicken and say, I don't want pounded yam again. No, it's pounded yam I'm craving that day. I go straight there. Even in markets too, for example, there's a certain lane where everybody's selling jeans. There's a certain lane, you get? So each of them is not like, somebody's already selling jeans. I cannot sell jeans again. Don't limit yourself. And after now, make sure that you actually study what imposter syndrome is because you don't want to label your problems wrongly. That can actually, the stories we tell ourselves about the things we experience can actually be worse than the experience itself. So make sure that you're not just labeling stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Miss Leila, do you have something to say about that?
So I'll answer the question in 2 parts. The first part will be to address the imposter syndrome because there's possibilities that there are people who actually experience it, right? Have I experienced it? Yes. And I think one of the things that help you go past it, or for me, in my case, when I rarely do, because I'm a bit proud of what I've been able to achieve in my life. But when I do, I have a support system, right? Sometimes it takes someone externally to tell you how good you are, right? So sometimes you need that support system. Can be your mom, it can be your best friend, it can be, do you understand? It can be anybody. But I think.
Hello.
Thank you. So thank you. I think generally it's very important to have a very, very good support system. And I'm saying it generally for everything, but I realized that that's one of the quickest ways, right?
Hello.
When my family hypes me up, sometimes they don't even know I'm feeling a certain way. Or when my friends actually hype me up, bruh, man, I feel like I'm going to be going to the moon, right? The next minute. So have very good support system. Learn to be vulnerable, right? People who know you and who genuinely root for you. And I have that. I have such an amazing support system. And I do likewise for them too. So that's in me addressing, what's it called? Other things you can do is actually just reflecting back on how you got to where you are. Reflection actually helps you a lot. It just kind of like reaffirms your abilities. It reaffirms, your conviction in your abilities. So that's on actually answering your question on imposter syndrome. On answering your question on competition, and a little bit of jealousy. Focus, that's what happens, right? And then I think back to what myself and Isaac said in the beginning, which is collaboration over competition. Sometimes, right, you find out that that's actually the person that you need to work together to be able to take you to the next level, right? So think about focus on what your focus is. I used to have this saying when I was in school, which is that I really don't care how the world sees me, maybe like a superstar. If I haven't met my goals, do you understand? I feel like I've failed myself. But if I met my goals, I don't care if the world thinks that, I'm pretty much shit. I'm fantastic. So focus on your focus. And what's that focus? Set goals. And those goals should be SMART goals. I think we already know what SMART goals are. So break it down. The problem you're having, like when you say something is really big, is because you leave it at being big, right? So focus and streamline your focus. Oh, this is how I'm going to get there. And then you would be able to get there in very little milestones. Just ensure that you're able to time yourself, pace yourself. In this new era, what we now have, we have things such as like OKRs. Sometimes set OKRs for yourself. What are my objectives for this year? What are my key results? What are my activities? What do I need to do to get those key results, right? And if you break them down, you find out that every mile will get you closer to your major goals.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Timothy. Now to Leila. My question is, when you talk about networking, should we just, like in like this kind of program now, should we just try to network it virtually almost everyone here, and on the long run keep filtering those we might not really have a very solid relationship together, or just pick few members to network with and then move together with them on the long run? And please permit me to place this request to both of you. Can I take a picture with both of you?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Do you want to do that now?
Yes.
Can we like take the pictures after?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So I'll try to answer your question. There's no particular way to network. That's the answer to the question. There's no, I mean, I'm talking from my experience. There's no particular way to network, right? And different events give you different access or give you different opportunities to meet certain people. Again, in networking, the idea, okay, let me take it back. There are different ways that people can network, or that has worked for me. So for example, me these days, when I network, I'm networking because I already have a plan to network with that person, right? So there's a tech event, blah, 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 blah. You already know yourselves maybe somehow, virtually. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, you know yourselves. So for example, there's certain, I remember going for one particular networking event. I think it was Ventures Capital, Shoyombo's VC company, and AWS. I was going there knowing who. Like, I wanted to talk to certain VCs. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So for me, that was why I went there. So when I went there, I just, it was easy. So like, there's a lot of purpose in going for that particular event. So that's one of the things that helped me. So I go ahead planning who I want to speak to and go ahead with a purpose for that conversation. But in situations where you don't know who is coming, then again, it means that you're just going to talk to as many people as possible and then contact or try and engage with as many people as possible. But I think introductions help you kind of like, I won't say filter. The filter is not the word to use. Streamline is the word to use, right? Because truth on the matter is that it's not necessarily as if Salem is not what's it called, but like maybe I would gravitate more towards a tech person because like I'm in that field. I don't know if that makes any sense than the content. Whereas other people will gravitate towards him simply because at that point in time there's some value exchange that will be happening. So I would say when you go for a particular event, be clear on what you want to get out from the networking or what's called. And the purpose actually helps you because even with the introduction, hello, my name is this, I do this, you kind of already help you with the conversations to land the points. Last thing I'll say is, please, when you go for networking events, have your cards, right? So even if you can't have long conversation, your cards actually help you. And so it might even be a case when 2 years down the line, someone can be looking at the cards, or they might have connected with you on LinkedIn, and then they'll be like, oh, I need this particular service right now, and they're able to connect. So always have some way that people can be in touch with you. I'm actually guilty because my cards are not ready and they're not here, but like I would always have my cards anywhere I go, even if it's a supermarket, because you would always have a reason maybe to meet someone and be able to exchange information. So that's it.
All right, thank you so much. We might not be able to take any more questions for Salem because I have information that he's about to leave. So I think we could just usher you with a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please another round of applause for Salem King.
Salem, a minute, please. Okay, so if you want to take pictures with Salem, Young said I asked you to do that within 3 minutes, brisk. Mary.
On stage?
Yeah. Okay. So start with Madam Mary, please. So questions for Madam Leila can still come in. So anyone with questions for her? Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Shafi. So I would just like to ask. So starting from, you mentioned that you have a background in computer science, and now you have gone into different fields, and now you are working somewhere else. So for a person that is like a recent graduate, and has a business, has a business already. So would you suggest that that kind of person should like continue with his business, or most likely go and learn from different companies and have like knowledge from experience? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Experience from those companies, then you can now use those knowledge to build your own business. And also, how do you, like, for growing business, relating to sales, how do you make as much as, because you mentioned that the essence of having a business is to make profit, right? So how do you, like, move in that sales and making profit? I don't know if it's clear enough.
Okay, I may need more clarity for the second one, but like, let me answer the first one. So, I don't used to lie to anybody. So I have 25 nephews and nieces, and I feel like my responsibility to them is to educate them on the new way, right? When I was younger, I remember I was doing my SATs, and I was having this argument. I was the one foolishly having the argument saying, "Oh, you go to school for exposure." Yeah. And then these other two people were like, "No, you go to increase your chances of having a better life." And I was like, "Yeah, it's for exposure." And then a year later, I was like, "Oh, it's for a better life." So I think that that's the first place to start for me. I think when you go to school as a graduate, and that's why it's usually funny when people say things like, see, focus on your focus. Whatever it is that is your long-term plan, if getting a good grade helps you do that, do that. So typically, what I advise people is go to a reputable organization, start there. I'll tell you for a fact, maybe because for me, that's what I did, it made my life easy, right? I did 2 years in, a big four, then I did 5 years in, one of the top tech firms globally, right? I was 5 years at Cisco Systems. So to a very large extent, what then happened, and even from Cisco, I worked just before KPMG, but even from Cisco, I find out that I don't apply. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? They come for me. But I would say something that is the reason why I'm saying start there. Number one is it helps in terms of credibility and building trust. Your resume, even if you want to be a business, it helps in terms of that. Even in terms of if you're in tech and you want to raise, they like to see all those things. X this, X. That's why when you go to LinkedIn, they want to use X something to kill you. X space stack, X this. Just because you want to build that trust. And before you interact with me, you will just know that if I have been here, I have some level of credibility, right? So that's the first one. It helps you build credibility fast. The second thing I would say is it helps you build structure. And I'm saying this because I've worked in 3 startups, and you literally see the difference in startup A and startup B when the founder didn't work anywhere before. And for you that you understand structure and you understand process, you would be very frustrated, right? So if for anything, like if for nothing, one thing I'll tell you is please work a little bit. Just because, and when you're working, work in a place that actually has proper structure. I'm not saying just work for working's sake. That's my own take. I feel like if you're not going to work in a place that has structure, in a place that has, proper processes, then there's no need working. Just continue your businesses. So it helps you reduce your experiments. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So when you start a business, you already know those things to look out for. You already know those structure. Like when earlier we were talking and saying things around when you have a founder, have agreements, all these things, even from legal structure to people and resources structure to technology to operations to processes, working in an organization that already has structure helps you do that. I cannot overemphasize that. So for me, that would be my advice if you're a new graduate. But your own question said you already have a business. So maybe what I can say is think about, being able to split your time. Personally, that would be my advice, where you can work somewhere and you can still do your business. But maybe a remote organization that again has that structure. If there's no structure, I personally don't see any reason why. That's number one. Number two is maybe you don't have to work. I'm just saying ways you can get that particular knowledge, right? Maybe what you can do is also look for mentors, right? So look for mentors who have built structures for organizations. So one of the things that right now I'm sort of after for is building a sales team, because I've been able to efficiently do that over time. Do you get, right? So maybe that's one thing you want to do as well. Find mentors, find people who have this knowledge, and then you can actually just get them to impact the knowledge for you and help you through your process. Sorry, the last thing I'm going to say is, depending on what your business is, right? If you're a small business and it's just, normal buying, selling, I don't know what it is. But regardless of what your business is, you want to have a board. And again, so if you're not getting a mentor, if you can afford to get a board, again, your board you may not necessarily be able to pay them. You may be able to give them some equity or something. Do you understand? A board, that's why even for structured business, that's what boards help. They help to put you together and clip any annoying wings. So maybe you need a board as well. You can get a board. A board when you start up can be actually your friends and family, but people who have the right experience, right? So if you look at board members, you see that everybody is hired for a particular skill set and a particular experience, right? So you can decide to have your own board, like a little board, and just say, hey, you guys, I want you guys to be able to check and help me with my business. So somehow they kind of help you through, ensuring that, you're sharing P&L with them, just ensuring certain things that help you with their knowledge to put you in shape. So those are the things that I may say can help in terms of your business, as a fresh graduate.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. I think we can take a final question, if there's anybody with a final question. Okay, one last question. Please pass the microphone to him. Please keep it very short. This is like already time is fast spent,
Okay.
but we can take one question.
I'm Timothy.
Hi,
I'm a
Timothy.
data analyst.
Nice to
I
meet you.
help businesses grow their business with data. So I think we
Very
have some-
important.
Yeah. So making data-driven decisions. Now my question is, there are a lot of ideas that we come up with, but there's always a gap in the ideation. When I mean ideation, converting ideas into reality.
Execution.
Yes, so more or less like an implementation and execution. So what are I won't say best practices, but what are the things you feel should be done? Because, for example, I also attend events like this. especially when people come to pitch ideas. And when they pitch ideas, there are a lot of questions. What is this? Why are you doing this? Why this and that? Because they have not been able to get the proper benchmark in bringing this into realization. So that's my question. What's the best practices in converting ideas into execution? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Timothy. So, very, very, very valid question. There would always be a gap, kind of, right? And I would say one of the things that help is it depends on how the idea or what the goal of the idea is, right? So, some things that I've noticed recently, and I get that question asked, posed to me a lot. Everybody asks me, when are you starting your startup, right? Because I do have 2 businesses apart from my 9 to 5, but they are not considered tech, fintech or startup, right? Even my family members, when are you starting your startup? And, at some point, I'm almost under pressure because I'm like, Abi, I'm supposed to be a founder, I don't know. Abi, I'm supposed to be raising money in Y Combinator, I don't know, right? So sometimes I realize what's the goal for the idea. So the example you gave, what's the reason why you have this idea? Do you understand? So a lot of times the ideation itself is the problem, not the execution. Why do you have the idea? What kind of problem are you trying to solve? When you solve this problem, what's supposed to happen, right? Having the end goal in mind actually helps you. That's number 1. Number 2 is, again, I'll go back to people. And I'll say, because you can leverage the people that you have. You don't have to employ people, right? Me, for example, I've had one idea of a 3rd business since mid this year. And because my friends know me that I'm Madam Aja, if I say I want to do something, my friends know I'm going to do it. I'm one person you can count on to actually execute, right? And then my friend recently asked me, I was like, how far this idea? And I said, man, I have too many things on my plate, but it's still going to happen. But you know what I had done? I had leveraged someone else to help me with certain things in terms of research and data that I couldn't. So those things that were keeping me from doing what I needed to do. So sometimes you may need a push or you may need someone to do it. An example is also my website for my business. I've been wanting to do my website for 2 years. And then what does happen, because I was trying to do it myself because I can do it, right? And then what just happened is I never found time. And then sometime in, I think, June, I just said, you know what, I'm hiring somebody. And I clearly told the person, I'm hiring you to be my accountability manager. I don't know if that makes any sense. You're doing the work, but I'm hiring you so that I can say that by August, I'm launching this website, right? That's the main reason why you're here. Not necessarily because of a skill gap. Of course, I didn't tell the person that, but I made it clear that I want you to hold me. So if there's anything that is outstanding from my end to give you to complete this, you need to shout that out. So sometimes you may need people to help you in the ideation. That's why people have co-founders, because sometimes you can just have the idea, sit on it, and you don't have the skills. Again, back to the point of a CEO and COO. That's what a COO does. A COO actually helps you check some of these ideas you are having as a CEO and helps you bring them to life. A CEO is a visionary. A typical CEO is just, you are thinking that a bird will be flying. They think of the most grandiose things. A COO helps them to kind of do you understand? Carry all those things and say, realistically, this is what we can do. This is how we can do it. So sometimes, a lot of times, actually, 99% of the time, you may need someone who acts as that checker. You don't need to call the person the CEO, or it depends on what kind of business you have. But again, back to the, what I call it, strong support system. You can get someone from a support system that helps you do it, or you can contract it out to somebody. So I would say a lot of times that gap is not necessarily there because you don't want to do it. A lot of times you need someone who will give you that push to do it. And back to the first one, just consolidating it. The reason why really is very important. So people will tell you answer 7 whys. If you can answer, so if you have an idea and you can answer seven whys, why? Do you understand? And you can answer it 7 times, then it means that you really, really have this idea. Some say 5, some say 7. So your why is very important, and it has to be very cogent for you to help in execution. I mean, there are other things, but I'm just talking because I feel like we're small businesses. So I'm talking within the ideas that help in terms of limited resources. But in an organization, it's a different ball game altogether. In an organization, a lot of times there's something called Raki, there's probably a committee, there's probably a strategy team. So what's happening is you're having an idea, you give the idea to the strategy team, there's a strategy team, and under strategy team is something called process and optimization team. And so those ones will do all of that for you. And there's something called a Raki, which is responsibility, accountability, consulting, and informing. So you will do all those things. So my answers are just answers to, I believe, maybe people who have small businesses and you have limited resources. If not, in a proper structured organization is different. The reason is because maybe when it gets to strategy is like, this thing doesn't make sense. Or when it gets to process optimization, it doesn't make sense. Or when it gets to the CEO, stable CEOs, like, we don't have the money to do that. And right now, this is not in our map. Do you understand? In our map for the next year. So there are so many things in corporate organizations that kind of stifle execution. I don't know if that makes sense. But for small business, a lot of times, or entrepreneurs, a lot of time I realize the reason why is simply because we just don't have the right skills or resources or push to get us from ideation to execution.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Leila. That has been really deep, basically, and that was what the essence of this session was. Unfortunately, we will not be able to take any more questions. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for her as she goes off the stage. Thank you so much. All right, so one of the objectives of this conference is to celebrate young change makers and leaders across West Africa. And what we have done, the West African Young Leaders Conference, is to identify 100 top West African young change makers. And we celebrated them this week. And we have a number of these young change makers in our midst right now. And so we're going to be recognizing and also presenting a certificate of excellence, basically, to these young change makers. So ladies and gentlemen, the first young change maker I have on my list here is a brand and communications giant. She is currently a business consultant on Fundit at Channels TV. Please welcome on stage, Blessing Abeng. I believe that applause can be louder than that. We can make it a bit louder than that, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Young, do we have a certificate ready? Up on stage to present it. Please, can we have the volunteers and team members of the West African Young Leaders Conference also take a picture with this young change maker? Team members, volunteers, nobody wants a picture with Blessing? I suggest that you go very quickly to LinkedIn or maybe Instagram and you just search Blessing Abeng and immediately hit follow, because you're going to be learning a lot from this brand and communications giants. Thank you so much and congratulations. The next person I have here on my list is a business and technology consultant, Dr. Aderonke Kujori. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Aderonke. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We can make that louder. These are people who are making strides in their industry. Thank you so much and welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming, and congratulations to you. Well done on all that you are doing. Thank you so much. Another person I have on my list. Another person I have on my list is a career coach and professional CV writer. Ladies and gentlemen, with a rousing applause, please welcome Testimony Adebiyi. I would like to recognize right now is Shodunke Williams. Please, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as he comes on stage to take his certificate. Thank you so much, Shodunke Williams, and congratulations to you on all that you do to create change in West Africa, like in the world, basically, actually. Denu Bon. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Denu Bon. There seems to be a clash between the photographers. What's going on? These beats are on fire. All right, thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Denu. So, ladies and gentlemen, time is fast spent. We have had a lot of sessions, a lot of value that has been dished to us by the speakers. But we have one final session. But we have one final session, and this is going to be, actually, it was tailored for entrepreneurs and business leaders. But before we have that session, I want us to have a very quick networking exercise. So you have to rise to your feet, actually, and come out of that shell. So the first one we had, you spoke to somebody beside you. This time around, you have to find somebody that you have not met before. And then you get their name, what they're doing, and any interesting thing about them. Now, the interesting thing about this exercise is that I'm going to actually pick out people to tell us who they met and what they learned about the person. So we have 5 minutes to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, please, on your feet. So you meet someone you have not met today, so you cannot meet your seat partner. It's not possible. You get their name, what they do, and any interesting thing about them. Don't forget to get their contact details so you can follow them on LinkedIn or connect with them on Instagram. That's like the most important part, actually. forget their names, what they do, and any interesting thing about them. That's very important. And of course, if you have your cards, exchange cards. If you have a LinkedIn account, of course, I feel like almost everybody would have a LinkedIn. So connect with them on LinkedIn. And don't just meet one person. Because I said one person, you don't have to limit yourself. Meet as many people as possible, as many people as you can. Because I'm actually going to ask you questions about who you met. So we have 1 more minute. We have just about 1 minute, less than 1 minute. We have 40 seconds more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin to wrap up the conversations so that we can take our final session. We have 10 more seconds. 5, 4. You're asking me to wait now. A minute ago, you didn't want to get up. 5, 4, 3, 2. And of course, I cannot forget our online audience. We've had a number of people following us from the beginning, and they've been following us virtually. Thank you so much. I appreciate your willingness to be with us. Don't forget, you can also network virtually. So follow whoever it is in the comment section, and put your details in there so that you can connect with more people. We also connect virtually. That is very, very possible. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to pick somebody now. Do I pick anybody? Thank you so much, Miss Mary. I think I'm just going to take your friend. Please, take your pictures later. Can we have the music down now? Thank you. So who did you meet? Let's move to the middle of the room so everybody can see us. Please, all eyes on us, ladies and gentlemen. Who did you meet?
I actually met with a lot of people.
Mention one name.
I met with Williams.
What's his surname?
Sodunke. I hope I pronounced it well. Yes.
Okay, who else?
I met with Mary.
What's her
Then I
surname?
met with Dr. Adurunke.
What's Mary's surname?
I know she has the foundation. I think
What's her
something.
surname?
My old digital. I'm trying to remember.
She's missing the question. What is Mary's surname?
I think Ayo.
No. So this is something that we all miss out in networking. You ask the first name, but you don't ask the surname. And so in that process of networking, in case you forgot to ask for their contact details, you only have a first name. So you can't even look for them online. Right? So I think that's a lesson that all of us should take out of this. That's why when I introduce myself, I introduce it fully. My name is Zainab Aderomu. So you can literally go on Google, type in Zainab Aderomu, and I'm going to come up. All right, so I think that's a lesson you just taught us.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Please tell us your name and what you do.
Okay, my name is Mavis Nodim. I am a founder of Mass Space Foundation. We work at the grassroots to create awareness on health issues, women, adolescents, mental health, environmental health. So we are doing a lot at the community.
All right, Mavis, right? Okay,
Mavis.
It's pronounced Mavis. All right, Mavis, welcome and thank you so much. Please, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mavis. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mavis. Thank you. So I think we can have our final session now. Ibrahim. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our final speaker, and this is going to be more like a conversation and not a session. So it's like if you have questions for her, then you can just throw your questions at her. This woman is a Google certified sales word lord. Hello. Hello. Sorry, this microphone is not working. Hello, can I? Hello. Okay, just as I was saying, can we hear me? Can we all hear me? Can we all hear me? Please, if you can hear me, say yes. Yes. Okay, thank you. So this woman is a Google certified sales word lord and website design. Okay, this is working now. She's a Google certified sales warlord and website designer. She is a LinkedIn top voice, #1 for sales in Nigeria. She's LinkedIn top voice, #1 for sales in Nigeria. That should teach you something. She is one of the top 50 creators for LinkedIn Nigeria, according to Favicon Global Ranking, and she has helped various businesses with 110% money back guarantee. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mary Ayokomi Ore. Can we have a seat for Mary, please? So if you have questions, just raise your hand and, questions about sales basically, and direct them at Mary. Hi, Mary, welcome.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? So if you know you used close up and not close down, smile to your neighbor and say hello. So anybody that cannot shine their teeth definitely used close down or a stick to brush. Okay, I can see that guy used close down. Okay, so shoot your questions at me if you want sales, if you want visibility. I am your warlord. I am here to get you to a better place in your business with regards to sales, with regards to visibility, and if you have any questions concerning your website design, I am your warlord. Thank you. So who is moderating this session? Okay, so we're going to wait for the moderators. Okay, so I've been given a brief to speak a bit about sales. So I'm going to be talking about using social media for sales, for visibility, and for impact. First of all, why do you want to be using social media, right? There are 8 billion people in the world population, and right now 5.85 billion are on social media. So if you're not using social media for your sales, for visibility, what are you doing? It's a sacrilegious calamity. You are frying plantain with yourself mercilessly. And when I say frying plantain, I mean you're just, to be candid, you're throwing yourself inside the gutter. You're making yourself suffer unnecessarily because you can't get those sales. You can't get those visibility. Back then, when I was not a sales warlord, I was just doing WhatsApp marketing, right? And with one campaign on WhatsApp marketing, I was able to get a client that paid me $600, right, for its sales, for its visibility. And from that customer, that was back then, I'm going to tell you about it now. That was back then. From that one person, I got a retainer. And in the end of the deal, I ended up getting $1,800. That's about $2,000. So if you are not using, if you're not using the digital space to get sales, can you just describe someone who is doing that for me? What is the person?
I don't know. The local.
So she said you're on a local standard. You don't want to be doing that, right? So how do you use social media? How do you use social media for sales? How do you use social media for impact? How do you use social media for visibility? For instance, this program, all of this program is being heard online, and it means, okay, let's stand for the camera. Okay, so they are taking me to the eye table. Let's see. Is it good now? Are we good? Okay, so how do you use social media? Now, social media is a tool. It depends on how you use it. Now, some people are using it for Ola wealth, pumping money, you know them, the Yahoo boys, the fraudsters, the ones like Hush Puppy, making us look somehow in the international space. But you can't use it for legitimate business, right? You can't use it for impact. You can't use it for... You can help people get sales, so much so that you get appreciation. Recently, I got a Gucci bag from one of my clients in France because I made the website so much, it got him results. In about 9 hours of launch, we had about 13,000 euros. This is all social media. So if you think that when we're talking about social media, we're talking about TikTok, we're talking about cough or Diewu, you are playing, right? So the first thing you want to know when you're choosing a social media platform, when you want to use social media for impact, for visibility, and for sales, is that you need to pick the right platform. Now, if you go to TikTok and what you're selling is probably some coaching program, you might be in the wrong platform. So if you're selling clothes, if you're selling things like clothes, Facebook ads is going to give you the best option for targeting people. And when you're doing Facebook ads, you're literally doing Instagram ads. So if you have any type of business, you can still use Facebook. Because of what? Because of Facebook ads, because of the targeting, because you can literally target and streamline to get exactly who you need to buy from. You can target based on age, based on location, based on what the person is doing. So you might say, oh, this person has spent as much as $1,000 online. This is a regular spender. I want to tag, I want to connect with your dogus, let them see my ads. I don't want small children. No, I don't want people using ITEL 01. You can't do that. So that's why you need to leverage Facebook also, right? Another thing that you need to know about using social media for sales is you have to optimize your profile. Now, I see a lot of people do a very, very terrible thing. And I was on a TV show and I was saying it. I see Kafaya Empire, Kafi Empire, Kudirat Empire. On your Instagram bio, I'm seeing no sales. No refunds, no guarantee, blah, blah, blah. You're shouting at your customers and you're sending them away. You don't want to be that person. Instead of using social media to attract, you're using social media to actually box people away. You don't want to be that person. Are you getting me? Are you getting me? If you are getting me, let me hear that scream. Else I'll just go. Okay. So I'm going to be focusing, because I don't have enough time To be candid, sales is war. That's why I call myself the sales warlord, and a lot of people called me that, right? So I'm just going to be focusing on the wrong ways people use social media to get sales, and the right way people use social media to get sales. So basically, if you focus on too many platforms at one time, only you, TikTok, you've gone to do, only you, Instagram, only you, LinkedIn, you've gone to say, I'm happy to announce. Only you, the same person, you're on Facebook. Good day, everybody. Nice to see you, yeah. Now I am selling December sales. You will not make sales. Your bank account will be more barren than the Sahara Desert. You got to know that. So you want to focus on one platform, and I gave you a pointer. So based on where your business falls, you need to go to exactly that platform. Now, you can be on more than one platform, right? But you want to concentrate on one platform the most. Are you getting me? What are we doing again if you get me? Let me hear the scream. Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So because if you have 2 hours to use on social media, if you're concentrating on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, you certainly have just 20 minutes for the 3 of them. So imagine when you're using 20 minutes for something and when you're using 1 hour for something. When will you get the better results? When you're using 20 minutes or when you're using 1 hour? So basically, you get the logic, right? Okay, so there's so many things here. Okay, so if you do not optimize your profile, if you do not optimize your websites, I see some websites, sorry, to be candid, they look like sacrilegious calamities. Sometimes some of my clients are coming to me, they're like, yes, I have a website to sell, I want to run ads, and this is a website. And then I see it and I cannot just can. So you don't want a website looking like a sacrilegious calamity. That's why we help our clients with a 110% money back guarantee to get websites, to build websites. I'm also a website developer, front end, right? And I have a team of professionals where we do this. So I help them get, the one thing you want to know about your website is your website should be selling one thing. Like I said, if you're on social media, if you're anywhere, website is also social media. Social media is literally anywhere you can connect. Like Salem King said, anywhere you can build communities, anywhere you can get your message across with media, social media, socialization, that's connecting. Do you get me? So that's basically, so website is part of social media and you can use it for your sales. How? By optimizing for one main thing. So you don't want to be a jack of all trades. People say, jack of all trade, what? For me, jack of all trade, ambassador of poverty. Jack of all trade, king of the Sakbatarians. You're a Sakba lord. You don't want to be that. You want to face one thing and get your results and get them squarely, right? Okay, so these are the right things to do. I'm just going to go ahead and point out some things that you want to do rightly for social media to get sales. Are we good with that? Okay, great. So you want to use personal branding to connect with stories, and you want to use it to connect with emotions. So all those moonlight tales under the tree and all of that, you know, you can actually use those stories to make sales. Think about MCN. What comes to your mind? MCN. Everywhere you go. When you think about Nike, you can see, we see those people who really went to school. Some of you went to the food shed when they were teaching. Okay, great. So just do it. So they built their brands around stories. You know that when you're wearing Nike, you have the idea based on all their adverts, based on how they build their brand, that it is that brand that goes for you implementing so that you can get to success, right? It is a story. When you see MCN everywhere you go, you know that, okay, that is the story, that is the brand. So the network should be better than all other networks. And if you look at it, MCN is actually good, although most of them, I may not talk. So even when you're using 5G. Okay, so another thing you want to do is show your face. I see CEO Kafaya Empire. I see one startup founder saying, no, I'm shy. I'm shy. How will I show up? So I want you to do something. Look at your side. Look at your back. Look at your front. Have you seen anybody who has said, my dear, just be sleeping. I will give you money. Do you want to go to Dubai? I will give you money. Because you are ashamed, I will dash you $2,000 or $200,000. Have you seen it? So, my dear, I'm going to say this in pidgin English. Who shame help? Have you seen anybody that has ever helped shame? Who shame has ever helped? Look at, let's even go to the contemporary music. Let's even go to where you don't think is business. Look at Wizkid. Did Wizkid say, no, I'm too shy, Tiwa Savage is so hard? So who has shame ever helped? Nobody. So you have to show your face. One thing that showing your face does is, when you show your face, right, people can, when they see your face, they can know that, okay, this is the sales warlord, like me. This is a website designer, like me. They already know, they associate you with something. Everybody know I come with energy. Heck, I was employed to just come into Aoma work where employed me. She's a top influencer, my coach, employed me to just come into our course, our community, just to give the energy. So when they see you, they associate some things with you. But let's say today there's one Tolani that's there. We're selling waste lot products. The next time there's Adia from India. I'm Adia and I'm from India. So, you know, we are selling waste lot products. They can't trust you. They don't even know, is this person a scammer? Is this a chain of scammers? But every day, Kafaya, they are seeing you. You have come, you came out, you are sweating, you're showing them how you're packing your goods so as you can see we are sorting these products. You come out again. This is the body fit. You know how these weight loss people, they have this amazing nose. The snatch to your husband's house, the collect your best friends, boyfriends, where, and you know that it's still the same person every time. So you have some level of trust for that person, right? So another thing you want to do is you want to be consistent. See, even if you want to be a thief, in quote, you have to be consistent before you can even thief better thing. You will first steal 20 naira, you steal 100 naira, steal 220K before you can even eat the big one. So how much more when you are doing legitimate business? You need to be consistent whatsoever you're doing. So you don't just come into sales or into business, right, with the idea of, okay, so that's MMM. Maybe I come today, I put in 20,000 naira into this business. By next week, I want to be smiling to the bank with like 400K. What are you? It's stealing. It's like thieves don't even do it that much. Just look at yourself and thief is entering my eye. So basically, that is it. You want to be consistent, right? So because of time, I'm going to be closing by saying you have to be intentional if you want to sell online, if you want to know, if you want to do anything, if you want to make that kind of money that takes you to Dubai, if you want to make that kind of money that takes you to the Caribbean, right? You're wearing your sunshine glasses, you're in the yacht, you're taking pictures, you need to be consistent, you need to be intentional. I want to make smart goals. I want to make 500,000 in 2 weeks doing blah, 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 blah. Itemize it right. So you have to be consistent in implementing the right information. So you have to get the right information. Now, I'm going to talk about the biggest core in sales, value. You have to have value to offer. Now, I've been talking about making sales with social media and doing all of this. Now, the beginning of it all is not you waking up on one morning and saying, okay, I really, 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 really like Agbo. So now I want to be an Agbo seller. Or I really, really, really like potato. So I'm going to fry potato and everybody must buy from me. By the grace of God, I am going into the mountain. I am calling on 5 alphas. They will back me up and my business will make it. No. So the first thing you want to do is you want to know your target market. You want to do product research and market research. What is market research? Does anybody know? Market research. Let's know the people who really went to school. Market research, oh. Okay.
Okay, so market research is basically where you make your findings about a certain market that you're planning to go into. Try to find out about the values that the market need, the market audience, the market target, and all of that. So it's just basically you researching before going into a specific form of market.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for him. Try and clap very well. You know, you didn't knew it. Clap for him. Okay, so one thing you want, market research is simply, okay, these are Ibadan people. If I come, I know I like salad, but if I come to sell salad here, will I sell even with all the alphas, with all the pastors? Am I sure these people they like amala? They really like abula. Will they buy salad? That's market research, right? And product research. This product, does it solve problem? Which takes me down to the roots. As a business owner, if you want to get sales, if you are a brand, if you are a freelancer, whatever it is, you're in business. If you want to get sales, you need to be solving problems. Now, I did not say this first because, of course, that is a given. And a lot of people, we've heard this, we've seen a lot of LinkedIn posts about it. By the way, I post a lot about this on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me if you want to know more about that. So if you want to be solving problems, right? You have to be solving a problem in a unique way that other people are not solving it. So even if there are so many sales experts, there's so many website designers, but when you heard the sales warlord, did you not do, I'm the only sales warlord. So you want to make yourself like that, differentiate yourself. You need to be solving problem in a different way that somebody else is not solving it. Maybe you are also selling amala, but when you sell your amala, you stand there and you are fanning the person like a king. That's celebrity amala that you are selling. Do you get me? Are you getting me? Okay, so you want to be solving the problem in a way that nobody is solving it, and that's how you can differentiate yourself. And you want to present that thing that you are selling in the way that nobody sells is presenting it, right? So basically, rich people, that's the people that make sales, they reach more people. So the degree at which you can shout, the degree at which you can shout loud the most is the degree at which you will make the best sales. Are you with me? So I'm going to round up at that. Rich people, they reach more people. And the way you are going to shout is with good sales, online, offline. However, right now, because there are over 5 billion people online, you want to be using the online space. Thank you so much for listening. Whoa! Yeah, let me hear that. Let me hear that. Okay, if you have questions, I guess the moderator would get it from there.
So you'll be the only one sitting. So that's a very wonderful session. Thank you so much, man, for the nuggets and sharing all of those experiences.
You're welcome.
So do we have questions from the audience, please? Okay, so ma'am, I have a personal question myself. So the question that I want to ask you is, you are a LinkedIn professional, sales person. Can LinkedIn be leveraged? Because when you go to LinkedIn nowadays, is mostly because I find LinkedIn like an oppressing app. Yeah, because you enter LinkedIn now, you'll be seeing someone's name. I have 3 masters for blah 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 for blah 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 and all of that. So it's always exactly the pressure on LinkedIn is too much.
It's getting worse.
Exactly. So ma'am, so my question is, aside from being a salesperson, can LinkedIn be leveraged for people in other markets? Take content creation, media, showbiz, and the likes of that. Can LinkedIn be leveraged for them to use as a means of promoting and boosting their their business and brand?
I'm trying to see the degree at which I'm going to shout the yes. But if I do this, your speakers might just blow out. So yes, it can. It can be leveraged. To about LinkedIn is that you have quality people, not CEO cafe empire that has just 5,000 naira in the bank. No, you have quality people who would trust you the more on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn can be leveraged. Now, by the way, I started on LinkedIn just this year. I've posted on LinkedIn about 210 days, and I am already #1 for sales Nigeria. So can it be leveraged? Can it not be leveraged? I've already worked with CEOs who are doing about $237 million annually. Can LinkedIn be leveraged? Yes, a round of applause. I'm asking you, can LinkedIn be leveraged? So I think what you need to know, first of all, is that as much as you see somebody saying, I have 2,000 master's degree, only me at the age of 7, I've already built 5 companies. It's a human being. So do not pressure yourself too much. Do not look at 10,000 certificates. Basically, what happens on LinkedIn is there's good branding. Branding plays a very huge role on LinkedIn. So can you tell me, please come, let someone come to the front. Let me see somebody, just volunteer yourself. Let me see that you have chest. Clap for her, clap for her. Yes, come, you're a queen. Whoa. What do you do? You are a fish processor and you are a student. Okay, so you are a fish processor, you are a student. So on LinkedIn, you are a super multinational award-winning aquatic researcher, processor. By the time I tell you what you are, you would nearly collapse. You are an aquatic researcher, processor, saving lives by taking care of one fish at a time. You are stopping world hunger according to the United Nations SDGs 1 to 10. You are reducing poverty according to one of the SDGs that is helping people get employed, reduction of unemployment. So one thing is, you also said you are a student. What are you studying? Political science, and are you top of your class? Okay, so you write visionary students and managing both.
I hope you're taking notes.
Managing both business and motivating other students. That's how you can present yourself on LinkedIn. There are no lies, it's just branding. Just the same way you go and eat something that you can spend just 300 naira, 500 naira at Iya Kabira. You go to Tasty Fried Chicken, they've collected 25K from your hands. That's branding. They designed the semo very well for you. You saw that they on light on the semo. So you will pay for that light. So that's basically it. Thank you. A round of applause for her.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
a round of applause
for our speaker. We might not be able to take any more questions because we need to round off. But your session has been really, really interesting and energetic. And I'm sure that everybody here enjoyed it. Did we enjoy her session? All right, thank you so much. Please a round of applause for her as she goes off the
Thank you
stage.
so much.
All right, so this is where I will draw the close on this conference, the West African Young Leaders Conference, tagged Sprint, Building and Equipping for the Next Decade. Ladies and gentlemen, are we empowered for the next decade? Do we feel empowered? Do we feel like we've learned so much? Was it value exchanged for time and money? Was it? If it was, say yes. All right, I'm super glad that you were here. Don't forget, my name is Zainab Aderomun. And until we meet again at the next event, have a wonderful life.
Hi everyone. Sorry, before we go, one moment. So, thank you so much for coming. And I practically just want to make an announcement before we go. And it's about why we are here. So, conferences and events like this are usually super amazing and interesting. But the beautiful thing is what we do afterwards. And we've decided to take this initiative to the next level. We are building a community of West African young leaders. So it's practically for everybody, be you a startup founder, a business leader, a creative, a marketing guy, wherever you are playing in, we are going to be having this community. For now, it's going to be on WhatsApp, and we are going to be engaging like every week. We are going to be having Leila, so many of these guys that came here today to hold like weekly sessions with us. So don't miss out and look out for it. So thank you so much for coming and have a very great weekend. Cheers, guys.